Hi, welcome to the Normal America Show. Welcome to your dumbass host, robnoerr, who accidentally had his microphone muted. Hopefully, you could hear me now. You probably are like, what's this guy counting for? How stupid am I? A 1, a 2, a 3, a 4, a 5? Higher! Oh, man. Well, I was saying I haven't streamed since last Tuesday. That's Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. This is my job. I just took a week off. What's up with that? It's bullshit. I have made $0 in October. $0. We're on October 6th. My mortgage company's calling like, your ass is out of here, buddy. We got you this month. Gotcha, bitch. I was busy. But I'm ready, man. I'm ready to hit the ground running. My goodness, what a list of stories that I missed over the past week. Whew. It's hard to keep up with. Now, for those who are wondering, yeah, there we go. For those that are wondering where I was, I can't tell you. Soon, I think we'll be able to announce soon where I was and the shenanigans that I've been up to. I think it's going to be a really big deal. It's going to be a really big deal. We'll see how it goes. But all I could say is I was doing a project with the Crucible, and I think that there's a good chance that this one's going to come to fruition. So, but you have to stay posted. It's not my news to break. So, yeah, we'll see what happens. But it was a lot of work and a lot of fun, and I hope that it pays off for me and for the Crucible. And just for the general community, I think it's going to be a very good thing. So, but that's all I really have to say about that. I was out of state. I got back Saturday evening, and then yesterday was family stuff. One of the things I had to do was my son at his Catholic school that he goes to. They have fundraisers like all the time, and we sold flowers. We sold mums. So yesterday I was picking up the mums and delivering them to all sorts of people. It was flower day, baby. It was the day to go pick them up. So that was us running around delivering mums to people yesterday. That was a lot of fun. And then I'll be honest, I should have streamed last night, but I just was hanging out with my wife and my kid because I hadn't seen them all week. And Hank, I'll show them tonight. Hank got us these. They're like, I don't know what you call them, sleeping pants. And they're Halloween themed. And me and my wife and my son all got the same ones. And he's super pleased that we all have the same pants to go to bed in. So I'll wear them up here tonight. He's very much a fan of them. So anyways, what I'm going to need for you all is to get donos in, to call in once we open the calls, to make the show great again. Before we get started, I wanted to do this show early because I hadn't been here a while and there was a lot of news that broke. I wouldn't have done the show early because I was like, shit, I got so much to talk about tonight. But then I remembered I have a debate tonight at 9:15 on a dumb topic, if I'm completely honest. But one of the things about me is I can make even a dumb topic entertaining. So the topic will be something like who's worse for society, George Floyd or Destiny. And I'm on the side that Destiny's worse for society. Weird stuff. Weird, wild stuff. But I'll make it fun. It's a 2-on-2 debate. So I don't know the people I'm debating. My partner is Marte. So it should be fun. I'll find a way to make fun of these people. It's weird, though, because I assume they're going to be right-wingers that I'll be debating that really dislike George Floyd. So anyways, we'll make that fun. And then it's going to be on, obviously, I'll be streaming it here, but Sarah Tomato's channel. So I'm assuming she'll have call-ins afterwards if you want to call in. So anyways, there's a bunch of news stories that I was incapable of getting to. And by the time I'd be able to stream about them, we'd be talking Tuesday. So I thought, well, I'll stream a little early, so at least I feel a little better about myself that I covered this stuff. But before we get to that, some scheduling notes. We're going to keep the same format. where we do the call-in shows around noon to 2:30, then the evening show at 10 p.m. Eastern. There might be some fluctuation, though. I'm going to try to work with Andrew over at the Crucible more and find out exactly when he's doing TikTok invasions and things of that nature, and then maybe schedule a little later around there so that their audience over there has somewhere to go. So that's a possibility. But generally, I don't think it'll affect us. I am going to start putting up more shorts. So my great editor, Black Elk, who is the man, he's been putting up a lot of shorts and regular videos on YouTube. That's all clipped from what I do here in my live stream. I'm going to be doing independent shorts on my own. So I put one up today, and you should check that out. That's going to be on YouTube. So that's sort of the plan there. And the reason for those are, one, it just helps with the algorithm, but secondly, it helps people easily digest like an argument in like 2 minutes as opposed to listening to me for 3 hours. And the third thing is, what I realize is when I go back and I look when I was doing those shorts every day, I see a bunch of stories that I forget. Oh yeah, I covered that. And so it's nice to be able to do those shorts because it gives me an easy reference point to go back and say, wait a minute, I think I remember something like that. Let me go back and see if I can find something like that. And I think that's exactly what's going on. So that's sort of the goal for the channel moving forward. We're going to stick with that format. And I'm going to try to do more guests and more debates is something that I'm trying to do now. Now, it's getting more difficult because once the nature of sort of some of the stuff we're working on behind the scenes, once it gets disclosed, I think you'll see how much work that I'm doing in the background. You'll be like, oh, that makes sense. So the nature of that is it may be interfering with my streaming schedule, but I think you'll all, in fact, I'm 100% confident that you'll be like, yeah, okay. This was totally worth it. So what that means, though, is when we do stream, we have to hit our goal because I might have to be out of state more than previously thought. So that's sort of the idea. By the way, also want to give a special shout out to everyone watching on Rumble. I see you over there. You guys are the best. Natalie, Limited. We are blaming it on the shutdown, this stupid silence. So we are going to start once a week doing one of the shows exclusively on Rumble. I don't know if that'll be this week or starting next week, but what we're going to do is, like, I think it's going to be the Wednesday night show. We'll start at 10 o'clock on YouTube, on all platforms, and then at about 10:30 or 10:45, we're going to switch over to Rumble exclusive. And the point of that is, if something ever happens to my YouTube channel, that'd be a nice place that then the audience could go over and watch. So, trying to do our best. Also, look, I'm not going to bullshit you. Rumble's interface isn't as user-friendly for either the creator or for the audience. That's absolutely true. For someone like me who's a boomer that doesn't understand tech, Rumble can sometimes be confusing. You have to have a unique stream key each time you stream there. I use StreamYards here. Rumble, like, see, average redhead. Morning! I can't bring that post up on Rumble. I can't even see those. So right now, I'll show you what I look at, right? To the shaky cam! Ah! There you are. So this is what I look at when I'm streaming. This is just StreamYard. I know it's getting... But you see, I just got this screen, and then I see all of your chats over here. Well, Rumble's not going to show up over there. And so I don't really... I always have to remind myself, like, oh, go over and check the Rumble audience, see what they're saying. So that sucks. But the good things about Rumble far outweigh the bad, which is I think they're updating and they're getting better. And I certainly think that there are people that believe in sort of the speech of people like me and will make sure that I'm not going to just get demonetized like that. So to me, that's far more important than the little bells and whistles that you get with YouTube. So yeah, I get it, Atomize. Like when it comes to using, look, I'm not going to bullshit you, right? Like I'm the same way. I talk a big game, but when I'm driving 7 hours to a work event, guess what? I got YouTube on in the background. I don't have Rumble on. So I get it. I definitely do. So I think one of the things I could do is try to have one show a week exclusively to Rumble. That also will hurt me financially. I'm aware of that because I'll probably lose 70 to 80% of my audience when I switch over to Rumble for that one night. Don't worry, I'm not getting rid of the YouTuber channel or anything like that. But that's sort of the idea of what's going on. When will we find out what these projects are? I don't know. Soon. I think that it's not for me to say. As a member of the Crucible, obviously, I'm not the person in charge. So it'll be up. You'll probably hear it first from the Crucible, from Andrew Wilson. So that's my guess. So, but I think it's a project that you guys would be very, very interested in. Would I be linking my Rumble streams here? Yes, obviously. So, like, for example, this Rumble stream right now this stream right now is on Rumble. So I'll make sure I link it before. We'll start the stream out. It'll be on YouTube as well. And then I'll link the Rumble stream. But there it is. And the Rumble audience is friendly. Yeah, you don't have to worry about commercials. You don't have to worry about giving YouTube money. I got you limited, yeah. So that's the idea. Also, if you donate in Rumble, I get a higher percentage of the money than if you donate in YouTube. Now, it does. Well, YouTube's still going to be my primary audience. Also, one more thing, and then I promise I got a ton of shit to talk about today. I really do. It's odd because I haven't been here for 5 days, and I'm streaming earlier than I normally do. But I owe the audience big time. I really do. Give me a second. I have to do something here. Okay. Let's see. What do I not need? I don't need. I have a picture to show you all. That's what I'm doing. So I owe my audience huge because I'd set a little personal goal for myself. I didn't talk about a lot, but we made it. We made the personal goal. This was super chats and support on all U.S. YouTube channels from 2 months ago, or 3 months ago, I'm sorry. And you can see that little shit Dean Withers was ahead of me. And this was then after that, and you can see that little shit Dean Withers was ahead of me. But ladies and gentlemen, this is last month. Oh, snap! That's right. We passed them up. We're dominating. We don't plan on going back. Now, this month will be tough because I missed 5 days of streaming. But, yeah. So, in the rearview mirror, focused on going forward. It's damn right we did it. So, celebration time, baby. Who's this guy? Me or him? Dean Withers, some lefty. So, yeah, keep getting those donos in. Today we have one so far. Robert Whaley, $5 says vacation. What's that? It was more of a working vacation. But I'm not going to lie and tell you I didn't have fun. But I missed it. I missed streaming. Yeah, Dean's chair couldn't. No way. So there we go. We've stalled long enough. There's 15 minutes. Now, we're on an off day. We plan on going till 2:30. The question is, do I take calls now? No, I don't think I do. I think I go with my spiel first, and then we'll take calls. Democrats are the party of violence. It's undeniable at this point. Let me start you off by showing a short I did today. I'll share the link. You can go and check it out. And then we'll start there. Look at that guy. His eyes look a little off. Robert Whaley, thanks for the $5 over on Rumble. Says higher percentage. You say yes. Thank you, Robert Whaley. All right. Ready? Democrat violence again on display for everyone to see. Now, I want you to remember when Donald Trump said fight like hell when he's clearly talking into a political context and then later told people to go march peacefully, they said that this was evidence that he engaged with and incited an insurrection. And now we see by the very same definition insurrections occurring on a nightly basis on places like Portland. And yet Democrats not only support these insurrections, they're refusing to allow appropriate law enforcement to protect federal facilities. You have rogue judges that won't allow it to occur. You have in places like Chicago, you have that the local police are ordering stand-down orders as people attack ICE agents there, forcing the ICE agents to deploy firearms in order to protect themselves. You have people like this attorney general in Virginia that was in private messages saying that he wanted to kill the person who was the Republican that was in office there so that his children would feel pain. And I believe he even suggested going after the children. It's time to call a spade a spade. Violence isn't some radical thing that the fringe is doing on the left. Yes, there is a small percentage of people that are actually willing to carry out this terrorism. But it is now the majority of Democrats, including people in elected office, that will cheer on and support those sorts of actions. The truth is, as the left-wing streamer Destiny said on Piers Morgan a couple weeks back, they want Republicans to fear for their lives to go in public. They want ICE officers to fear for their lives to do that job. They want them unmasked. They want to know where they live so that their brown shirts on the ground and groups like Antifa could go harass and attack them. That's what they legitimately want. 55% of Democrats polled said they could somewhat justify the murder of Donald Trump. And I asked there, do you think that that's limited to just the voters or the elected officials? And now we see an elected official saying that he wants the death of children of his opponent. And every single Democrats continue to endorse him. The Democrats are the party of violence, and they must be defeated at the ballot box wholly, or it will get worse. Wow, that guy's really smart. What a genius. Now, I just want to let you know, here's the stories I have to talk about today. All of them have to do with either left-wing violence or the judicial system allowing violence to come from people. Nick Sorter, a journalist, was arrested in Portland as he was attacked by ICE. As he had predicted, as he was attacked by Antifa. As he had predicted the day before on a post on X, he said the police stand down and do nothing. We covered that, where the young woman that was a journalist there was smacked in the face with a pole and got a black eye. And when she chased down the person who did it and had a police officer standing there to arrest the girl, the police officer let her go. So the police allow Antifa to attack with impunity, and then if you defend yourself, they arrest you. Anarcho-tyranny. Nick Sorter, a public face of that, who was arrested for disorderly conduct for being attacked by multiple members of ICE and then defending himself. Then you had the would-be assassin of Kavanaugh was given a slap on the wrist and potentially will be out in 4 years for attempting to assassinate a Supreme Court justice. 4 years is when this person will be allowed to be released. And the judge went against sentencing guidelines that said a minimum of 30 years. And one of the reasons was the judge was very emotional that something good came out of this assassination. which was that there are assassination attempt, that the would-be assassin came out as trans. It's a beautiful thing. I'm not making this up. We'll look at it. Imagine that. Well, I would have thought this was a horrific incident. However, seeing as how the would-be assassin came out as trans and had trouble in their life because they were trans, and now their families come together around their trans stuff, you know, then you had all the media that was like, woman sentenced. Fuck you, man. Then you had the story of the 6-year-old young white kid brutally murdered by a black man with a knife. Stabbed this toddler so many times that the knife broke. He's been let out in good behavior. He will have served 10 years, around 10 years. Let out for good behavior. I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about the Democrat nominee for Attorney General in Virginia, Jay Jones, who in, I believe it was 2022, when a colleague at the state government or whatever reached out to him and said, sorry about this Democrat that passed away, remarked about how he wanted to kill Republicans, including the Republican in office then, and his children. Now, that's not the worst part, that this has not been made public. I remind you, this would be the Attorney General, the chief lawyer. How do you think that person's going to do when it comes to instances of violence on the left? Do you think it'll be like this judge that leaves the murder of the young white kid or the Kavanaugh would-be assassin out? But somehow, the worst part of the story is, to my knowledge, there hasn't been one group that endorsed Jay Jones, the Democrat, that has removed their endorsement. The official Democrat position on this is, well, that's not a good thing to say, but we have to vote for him to save democracy. What do you even say to that? And it's too late now. Now they're going to look at their internal polling. Oh, let's see what it shows. And if they decide, it doesn't look good for us, then they'll come out and condemn him. But they are perfectly fine to have an attorney general in their party that celebrates and cheers for and calls for the murder of children of his opponent. Democrats said, yeah, that's good enough for us. We'll vote for that. It's too late if you come out days later and say, you know what, actually, he should withdraw from the race. Too late! You had to think about it? We're halfway through. You ready? How about this? Not one, but apparently 2 attacks, though I'm not so sure about the second. Attacks of ICE agents in Chicago. One of which, the ICE agents had to deploy their firearms because while they're in vehicles, they're being rammed into by people that are armed, trying to stop them from doing their jobs. Now we have reports that the local police ordered to stand down and allowed federal agents to be attacked with vehicles by people that were armed. Then there's a second incident that people thought were the first. I'm not so sure that it's an ICE thing, so I have to be careful about it. But the footage of it's insane, of them ramming an ICE vehicle. When Pritzker, the billionaire governor of Illinois, is asked about it, he's like, it's all blown out of proportion. You probably didn't even hear about this. A person was arrested outside a church that Supreme Court justices were attending with explosives. Pretty cool on the week that the Kavanaugh would-be assassin gets a nice slap on the wrist. I mean, I guess what's the signal sent, right? Antifa continues their nightly insurrections in Portland. There's footage of them. They literally run traffic there. The police stand by and leave Antifa direct traffic. They are the police. Not only are people in law enforcement pro-Antifa, which is evident by the fact they let them run that city, but literally they sit back and allow Antifa to do functions that the police would normally do. They run the city. They beat the shit out of you. You fight back. You go to jail. They attack ICE agents on a nightly basis. It's a federal facility. So, seeing as how the police won't do their jobs, Trump's trying to send the National Guard there to protect that federal facility. And, surprise, surprise, a low-level judge says, no, you can't do that. Nope. That's how most of this has happened since Friday night. Next order, the Kavanaugh would-be assassin. That's the second story. The young white kid. Now, I don't know when this person was left out of jail, but I just heard about it this weekend. Who was murdered by a black man who's been let out in 10 years for good behavior. Jay Jones, the candidate for Democrats for Attorney General in Virginia, and the comments about him being released that he wanted to murder children of his opponents because they needed to feel pain to change their positions. The ICE attacks in Chicago. The explosives found outside the Supreme Court church. Antifa running the show in Portland. And the judge stopping the National Guard. That's 8 stories all surrounding the legal system and Democrat violence. 8. Remember when I told Jake Rattlesnake the last time I was doing the extravaganza? It was like, not last week, but the week before Thursday. I was like, buckle up. It's going to become a daily thing. It's going to become so ubiquitous. The attacks on ICE are so, it's just normal at this point. It's normal. We just accept it. Yep, lefties are going to attack ICE. Federal law enforcement officers. I just want you to think about that. I just want you to think for 1 second about a city. Imagine a right-wing mayor in a right-wing city that's allowing a right-wing terror organization to run the city. They beat the shit out of someone. The cops go, not much we could do about that. Some person fights back. Oh boy, arrest them. Get that person. A nightly basis. By the way, this has gone on for years. They're attacking federal enforcement. Federal government says, okay, we're going to send our troops in to defend our people. No, a right-wing judge says, not allowed. Say what you will about the left-wing streamers that are saying heinous shit. The truth is, they are revealing what average Democrats believe. It is no longer enough to say that it's fringe. It's no longer enough to say, well, it's just the voters. You remember when we talked about that poll? 55% of Democrats polled said they could at least somewhat justify the murder of Donald Trump. 55%. More than half. And that's just how do we know how many wouldn't even say it? That in their hearts were like, yeah, it'd be a good thing if he was murdered. But didn't want to say it to a pollster. But let's go with that number, 55%. And I said, you see that? Then are you surprised when Charlie Kirk's assassinated and you see the thousands upon thousands upon thousands of people celebrating it? Just like we saw thousands upon thousands upon thousands of Democrats celebrating Luigi Mangione killing the United Healthcare CEO. And each time we're supposed to be like, what's an aberration? It's just a fringe few. It's public. Go to Reddit, go to Blue Sky, hell, go to X. By the way, I remind you, Parler and Gab were basically nuked from the internet, all the app stores, etc., after January 6th, because supposedly it was fostering violence. Not Blue Sky, not Reddit. Twitch can't even get rid of fucking Hasan that's interviewing Houthi terrorists and talking about wanting to assassinate fucking senators. YouTube still allows Destiny on after he talks about wanting Republicans to all fear for their lives being public. They don't give a fuck. Now, 2023 YouTube, if I came on here and said, I have some questions about mail-in ballots in the 2020 election, my channel would be gone like that. Actually, I think that there's some things going on with COVID that are terrible. Bam! Gone. But you can call for the deaths or say that you celebrate the deaths of conservatives. No problem. And by the way, fuck YouTube. They came out and they're like, oh yeah, you know, we're all for free speech and the Biden administration pressured us to censor shit and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I talked about that story and a bunch of other people did because it showed what our government was doing to pressure places like YouTube. But don't get it twisted. Before the Biden administration was in there, YouTube was still doing this shit. So was every other social media platform. The truth is, yes, there was government pressure that was helping influence what they did to censor people. But the people that run these platforms fucking hate you too. And even without the government pressure, they were more than willing to fucking censor you. Why? Because the people that make their way to the top of these organizations come through an academic system that fucking hates right-wingers. Saw a post on X. I didn't save it, but I was reading it. And it was the idea of calling conservatives Nazis. And it's like, we're tired of products that's just like, oh, Nazis. I think it was a clip from the show Peacemaker. Oh, we can kill this Nazi family. They're Nazis. It's okay, kill them. No problem. The whole family. And this person's like, you can't see what's going on. On one hand, we have the entire media establishment, the Democrats, etc., saying, you're Nazis, you're fascist, over and over and over against everyone they disagree with. Then you have the entertainment industry like, kill Nazis, kill fascists. Then we see things like the assassination of Charlie Kirk. So when this person, points this out, what do you think the comments were? Well, it used to be that everybody understood Nazis are bad, but now you've all chosen to be Nazis. You see? You see the problem? You can't live with these people. They want you dead or afraid that you'll be killed. It is not a fringe minority. Imagine if there was a Republican running for attorney general and you found text of him saying he wanted to kill children of the opposition so that they'd feel pain and believe with his politics more. What do you think the national conversation would be today? And instead we get, well, I don't know. And they're going to get away with it too. That's the worst fucking part. They're going to get away with it. There was a moment after the assassination of Charlie Kirk. Sam Hyde had this fucking nailed. Trump, you have 2 weeks. 2 weeks to do something. And what happened? Nothing. Antifa, it's still, right now, rallying outside, committing fucking acts of violence against ICE agents right now in Portland. They'll be there tonight. All of this shit happens. Mick Shorter getting arrested. Kavanaugh's would-be assassin going to be let out. Only given 8 years, will be out in 4 because it's a good thing that he turned trans. Young white kid's killer, stabbed to death brutally to the point where the knife was broken. Left out in 10 years for good behavior. Jay Jones running for attorney general, saying he wants to kill his opponents. ICE attack on police. Police told to stand down in Chicago. Explosives outside Supreme Court justices going to church. Antifa in Portland running the show, committing acts of violence on a nightly basis. And a judge stopping Trump from deploying the National Guard there. Remember when I went back and looked at an old video of mine from like 2018? Yeah, let's see if I can find it real quick. This is what's going to happen with all this. You ready? Let me show you what's going to happen. Let me find this video. This fat fuck. So I want to talk about a rash of violence or threats of violence that have been occurring against the GOP in the past couple of days. There's 3 incidents that I'll cite specifically. The first is GOP headquarters in Wyoming that had only been open for a couple of days, I believe, was set on fire. The police do think this was intentional, so it could be a political motivation. The second instance was there was going to be a Trump gathering or rally today for Trump supporters, and someone posted on social media that they were going to show up with, they took a picture of a gun and said they were going to show up and bring back a bunch of bloody MAGA hats as trophies. Thankfully, it looks like nothing violent happened, and the police did step up their awareness and their security of the event. The third instance, which is by far the most serious, is there was a person running for office as a Republican in California, I believe, and he had some booth set up. Maybe it was at a fair or something of that nature where they were just talking with the public, and a man was screaming about the GOP and pulled out a switchblade and tried to stab the Republican running for office. Luckily, the switchblade malfunctioned and no one was seriously hurt, but the man was apparently screaming F Trump while this happened. Police have arrested the man, but it's 93 views on that. That's September 11th, 2018. How many of you remember any of those incidents? That happened over a week in 2018. Remember those? I got the links right there. They're all there. I used to do things like that in my videos. It was helpful and put links up. You remember them? Now, left-wing violence is so common that it just happens in droves every week. And then 3 years from now, when you're debating people, they'll go, it wasn't that bad. 2020, Black Lives Matter and Antifa, it wasn't that bad. What are you talking about? January 6th? Oh, boy. January 6th? Holy shit. Every day with the violence. The bullshit. And we'll just accept it. We'll go, we'll grumble about it. And 3 months later, we'll be talking about something, and I'll forget every one of these fucking stories. Nick Sorter, who's that? Oh, yeah, that's vaguely familiar. That dude that got arrested in Portland. What was that about? Jay Jones, huh? I don't remember. Yes, Savior Hurts. I remember I did a video on YouTube where I showed clips, like 10 clips of videos of people in MAGA hats getting the shit beat out of them. YouTube removed my video and gave me a community strike. Nice. So I don't have that one. It does not matter. It doesn't matter how many instances. The truth is the left wants this violence? Who's seriously standing up and saying, what the fuck is happening in Portland? On the Democrat side. Who? No, instead they're like, well, ICE they're bad. They're the Gestapo. They need to stop. None of them. The only person on the Democrats, an elected official that's been even somewhat reasonable, is my Senator John Fetterman, and they hate him for it. Big Leafy Tree says, I'm soying out. Great. Big Leafy. It'd be easy to argue someone who's just soying out. So no doubt you'll call in, unless you're going to soy out, right? Right? You're at work. What do you do? What's your job? I wonder what kind of fucking career that someone accusing me of soying out has here. I'm at work. I sit in the chair in the corner and then clean up after the OnlyFans segment. Same shit. These people. I know. I see that people are going to start calling in. I wanted soying out to call in, so I'm not going to take calls for a while now, except from soying out. But or a Big Leafy Tree, whatever the fuck his name is. By the way, it's the same argument they made during COVID. It's the same argument they made during the BLM riots. Come on, calm down, calm down. Calm down, everyone. Everybody calm down. Just relax. Come on, it's not worth getting fired up. And then January 6th happened, they're like, oh my God, no. It's the worst day in history. Oh my God, no. Big Leafy Tree, anything left to say for yourself? Just let me know. Fuck you. This violence is so fucking common. That we just accept it. It's matter of fact. I've been saying this for years. Why is it that May 29th, May 30th, 2020, when violent lefties used weapons to try to break into the White House to get to Donald Trump, why weren't they successful? Because everybody knew they were coming to be violent. There's adequate police presence there. We know. Why is it that business owners board up their business when they're afraid Democrats will lose? Because we all know. We all know. We know. And we have to pretend, well, actually it's a both sides issue. How long will we accept this? How long as a society will we say, that's just the way it is? If you're a conservative in Portland, the police are going to let you get the shit beat out of you. And they're going to leave violent thugs and terrorists run the show. That's it. Name me a city in the United States in the past 50 years where that's happened with right-wing terrorists. Where the local police are just, we're just going to stand down and let them go. On a nightly basis. What do you think would have happened if this was right-wingers on a nightly basis attacking federal authorities under the Biden administration? I'll guarantee it wouldn't have lasted more than 2 or 3 days. Guarantee. And these fucking judges. What? How can you have a society at this point? The police will refuse to arrest people. The attorney generals will refuse to prosecute. Meanwhile, they'll go after the people they don't like politically as hard as possible. The judges will give people light sentences. The media will push along right with it. The entertainment industry will convince generations of people that you're a fucking Nazi. And then, how many times, well, hey, Rob, you want to do a debate on if the left uses violence more than the right? According to the statistics that come from police that are fucking biased and shitty in the first place, then go to some organization that's biased and shitty, the right wing commits way more violence. Let's debate about it. How about that? All right. I'm going to read super chats and I guess we'll take calls. Colton Hunt, thanks so much for the $5. Really appreciate it, man. Miles Kinslow, $5 says, hey, Rob, what really blows my mind is the left is quick to call people Nazis, but supports Palestine Hamas. What the F? Well, the contradictions don't matter to them. To Gooch, $10 says, for the grift, not one step back. Let's go, day crew. Thank you so much. PME or Nachos, $5 says, we're clearly under attack and Trump needs to invoke the Insurrection Act. Antifa is the left-wing nut jobs. The Muslims, all of them have to go. The truth is that this is what the Democrats want as well. It's just like going into the 2020 election. Riots everywhere, clear, violence, orchestrated, and the left goes, well, it's Trump's fault. It's Trump's fault. Then if Trump's like, okay, we're going to do something in response to this, they're like, fascist, fascist. Truly, Destiny was a godsend for saying what these people believe. It's not that they necessarily want you killed. This is the mainstream. This is more than 50% of the Democratic Party. More than 50%. Your Democrat friends that you know most likely are in this category. They don't want you killed. They just want you to be afraid that you might be killed. They don't want you to voice your opinions in public. They don't want you to be able to vote for someone like Donald Trump. They don't want ICE to be able to deport these people. And so, we're not going to do the violence. But hey, if other people do it, we'll say, that's a shame. That's a shame that I'm not for Charlie Kirk being killed. But, you know, he was a terrible man. Fuck around, find out, right? Isn't that what Destiny said? We want Republicans to be fearful to go out in public. That's the truth. That's what they want. You committed a grave sin. You didn't allow them to have power. And that's not acceptable. It's not acceptable at all. The moral thing is they're good people and you're bad people, so they get to have power. Now, if you're a bad person, but you don't have any access to power, fine. No problem. Go do your thing. But as soon as you challenge their authority, it's like, oh, no. You're an evil person. You're bad. You're a fascist. So no, we're allowed to do whatever we want, escalating. Now, I might personally not do it, says the average Democrat, but I'll cheer on or stay silent and say, sort of had it coming. When the left does it to you. How many leftists right now do you think agree with this judge? Democrat, like be honest. Agree with this judge. It was like, well, okay, you tried to assassinate a Supreme Court justice, but you are trans, so... Fuck, I bet there's a big portion of them that are like, no, we disagree with this, that they got any prison time. After all, that decision was Roe v. Wade being overturned. My God, a woman's right to choose. What percentage of Democrats do you honestly think are like, this guy didn't succeed and it was Roe v. Wade and, they shouldn't be arrested? Not quite dead. $10 says night shift's better. Suck it, day shifters. Ooh, the battle continues. Jack the Guitar God gives $10. Thank you, Jack. Appreciate both of you. And then Taguch, another 10, says, I don't know about y'all, but I'm tired of Pam Bondi not doing shit. We've been told that Pam Bondi is going to go into Portland and get to the bottom of Nick Sorter being arrested. For all the talk of the fucking authoritarian fascism of the Trump administration, they don't do shit. Remember that guy, that left-winger HN? We showed this video the other day. It was of, what's his name? Higbee? Cam Higbee, is that his name? Going to college campuses, doing sort of what the Charlie Kirk thing was doing. He went to Tennessee State, an HBCU, historical black college or university. And he's chased out of there by violent people. And then, of course, the administration puts out a statement saying, our students acted at all times with professionalism and respect, using violence and intimidation to chase out people that disagreed with them. That's professionalism, that's respect. And HN says, well, they should have known as white people. You can't go to an HBCU and have a conversation. They should have known that violence would have been. And then, of course, he later had to backtrack once he realized what a racist piece of shit he sounded like. And then went with, well, you should just know as a conservative that you can't be on college campuses. Which is the truth. And I showed videos of Caitlin Bennett getting chased off of Ohio State, I think USF, University of South Florida. These weren't historical black universities. It's true. How many places in the United States do we just have to accept that you can't be in if you're conservative? Can't be in Portland. Can't be at a university. Where else? We just accept it, right? Our tax dollars still have to go there. But we can't be there. It's our fault for showing up. Nick Sorter, you want to come and cover the fact that we have a city in this country that a terror group runs the city. And they attack federal agents on a nightly basis. In what I've been reliably told by Democrats meets their definition of insurrection every night. And if you're someone who says, you know what, I'm going to go film that. That sounds crazy. It sounds absolutely crazy. You're going to get the shit beat out of you. And the police are going to watch it happen. And then if you defend yourself, the police will intervene to arrest you. That's what will happen. I'll show you a clip. We showed this the other night. So this is from October 1st. So this is the last night I streamed, I believe, before I went on my little trip. This is Kate Daviscourt.
Stop twerking that ass, Ryan. Oh, yeah. Don't hit me. Oh, fuck. She just hit me in the face. Katie was at the January 6th parade. Oh my God. Katie was at the January 6th.
All right. So there you see the violence. She gets hit in the face. Now, watch out, because the police aren't there to do anything.
All right, so I have this assault suspect.
I'm under arrest. Do not touch
her. Do not touch her. Do not touch me. I am underage.
I'm sorry. Let's get that full
I have
interaction.
the police guy following, so we're gonna see if anything happens.
Do not touch me.
Yes, Jansport backpack.
Do not touch me.
That one.
Do not touch
Which one?
me.
Her.
Do not touch me. No, I'm not. I am not.
I just said that you are. Stop.
I'm underage. Do not touch her. Do not touch her. Do not touch me. I am underage.
That is the truth. Imagine if the police, for anything, excuse me, sir, I need to see some ID. Fuck you, don't touch me. Okay. My mistake. You're in charge here, not me. I'm so sorry. This was a guy trying to arrest his boss. That's what's going on there. And where's Pam Bondi? Meanwhile, Nick Sorter, he gets attacked by a group of people. He swings back. You're under arrest, sir. Police are there for that one. Why didn't he use that defense? Fuck you, get away from me. Oh, okay. Oh, that's only reserved for the lefty Antifa terrorists. They're allowed to do that, but not you. Solzhenitsyn wrote, your punishment for having a knife when they searched you would be very different from the thief's. For him to have a knife was mere misbehavior, tradition. He didn't know any better. But for you to have one was terrorism. You see, the actual criminals, they get away with the shit. They're allowed to use violence against you. If you defend yourself back, that's violence. You can't do that. So the police stand there, watch them commit the acts of violence. When you defend yourself, they arrest you for committing an act of violence. What's the message here? Who runs the show? It's anarcho-tyranny. And we just accept that there's a major city in the United States where this occurs on a nightly basis. And it's been happening for over a decade. The entire shit of the Proud Boys getting started, where they became quote-unquote infamous, was in places like Portland and in Oregon, where you saw groups like Patriot Prayer that would go through legal channels to get a permit to be able to go somewhere, to do a rally, and then these Antifa people would show up and beat the shit out of them, and the police would allow it to occur. So the Proud Boys said, fuck that, we're going to come fight back. And the police said, oh boy, we're going to get those Proud Boys. There's some of them that are still in prison, looking at 20 years. What punishment do you think you would get if you were masked as a conservative and there was a conservative protest that was attacking federal officials under the Biden administration, and then you smacked some lady in the face with the flag? You think for a second that it would just be, oh, okay, well, you don't feel like being stopped by law enforcement? And here we are. And where the fuck is Pam Bondi? Oh, but they had a judge. They had a judge say that they can't do this. Fuck it! Arrest every one of these motherfuckers. How long do we have to accept it? Bobby C, $5 says, I'm from Virginia. I've seen the ad supporting J. Jones everywhere. I'm not surprised they never mention this. Of course. Now, granted, the story just broke this weekend, but as far as I've seen, I think I saw Morning Joe said this morning, maybe J. Jones should drop out of the race. That's the strongest I've seen. Remember when they said about Al Franken? They're like, see, unlike the right, the left holds their own accountable. And I told you, I said, no. The issue with Al Franken was that if he had to be removed, it would be replaced by a Democrat by de facto. So it wasn't that they were going to lose a seat, so they could virtue signal and say, bye. And they probably didn't like Al Franken in the establishment level because he was a little more rogue for the Democrats. So see you later. But when it came to Keith Ellison, who was, I believe at one point head of the DNC, then was attorney general in Minneapolis, maybe? Minnesota. With him, unlike with Kavanaugh, we actually had the police record. We had the footage from the police when they showed up. The wife contemporaneously telling people with records that she was assaulted by her husband. Democrats force him to step down? No! Because that could have meant a Republican winning. Same thing here with Jay Johnson. They have no principle. None. Charlie Kirk was assassinated not even a month ago. The guy running for Attorney General, Chief Prosecutor in Virginia, has messages talking about killing children of his opponents. And Democrats are like, The assassination attempt to Donald Trump. Had it been an assassination attempt to Kamala Harris, we'd still be talking about it on a daily basis. We had 2 of them of Trump. They're out of the news cycle within 3 weeks. Charlie Kirk, it's been a month. Barely a story. ICE agents attacking federal officials on a daily basis. If anything, when the media covers it, they're like, the ICE agents sort of had it coming. It's every day now. Hey, you guys remember? Let me blow your mind. You ready? You remember this? You remember when some lunatic shot an ABC studio, and then was let out on bail by local officials? Remember that? When was that? 7, 8 years ago? No, just like 2.5 weeks ago. Oh, well, out of the news cycle. Or how about when a fucking crazed lefty shot ICE agents and actually killed detainees? Remember that? When was that? A lifetime ago? Like 2 weeks ago. We've moved on. Right back to calling ICE the Gestapo. Right back to calling our opponents fascists. Now we have a Democrat running for Attorney General. Let's get those actual quotes, shall we? Shall we? Sorry, it's Jones. I've been saying Johnson. It's J. Jones. Acting like a Johnson. Find the quotes. This is what he said. This was, I believe the context of this is he's in like the state level politics and the Republicans reaching out to him saying, sorry about the death of someone. This is how he responds. If those guys die before me, I will go to their funerals to piss on their graves. Send them out a wash in something. Jay Jones. 3 people, 2 bullets. Gilbert, Hitler, and Pol Pot. Gilbert gets 2 bullets to the head. It gets worse. You were talking about hoping Jennifer Gilbert's children would die. Yes, I've told you this before. Only when people feel pain personally do they move on policy. Threatening to kill a member of Congress, saying that they should be killed. Hoping that their children die. No problem. Less than a month after the assassination of Charlie Kirk. Less than a month after. And every Democrat organization's like, it's not good. But you know it's worse if Republicans win. They don't give a fuck. The truth is, they're not upset about this at all. This is how they all think. They can't condemn him for how they all talk. This is how they feel. They have gaslit themselves to believing that they are morally virtuous and their opponents are evil. Therefore, all tactics are on the table. Why wouldn't you wish death on Hitler's children? Of course. What's the question here? They put this facade on. Oh, no, that's not. And again, the bargain that they make, it's the same bargain that they were making in 2020. The same fucking thing. The exact same thing. Well, you know, Trump's in office. We see all this violence. You want the violence then? Then don't put Trump in office. Give us what we want, then we'll stop being violent. Now, the next time you don't give us what we want, we're going to get violent again. But there's a way to end it. Give us everything we want. We wouldn't have had to have an assassination attempt at Brett Kavanaugh if you wouldn't have rolled back Roe v. Wade. It's that simple. We wouldn't have to attack ICE agents if they chose not to enforce immigration laws. It's that simple. It's really, that's it. There's a way to make it all stop. Just shut your mouth. Give them power. Don't protest. Then it'll all go away. Of course, you'll gradually lose your country. That's okay. After all, they're better than you. You're a shit person, so shut your mouth. It permeates everywhere through the left-wing and Democrat psyche, everywhere. It's why when I go to a wedding, I have left-wingers coming to me talking shit to me. Why? Never in a million years would I go to a friend's wedding and start shoehorning a political conversation in to yelling at someone to interfere with this wedding. Yet they do it unabashedly. Of course. I'm a good person. I'm a left-winger. In this social setting, I could fucking attack you. Go fuck yourself. Same thing with it. You're a Christian? Fuck you. I could attack your Christianity. If you did the opposite, if you showed up and were like, hey, you're not a Christian, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, sir, this is a funeral. Why are you yelling at people? People would be outraged. But everybody just has to sit there quietly. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I guess you're right. Everywhere. They're the same people that'll shout about authoritarianism that were calling the fucking police if you had more than 4 people at your house during COVID. And they would have shouted about authoritarianism. Their dream society in places like California where they get their progressive politics, if your house gets burned down in a fire, partially due to mismanagement of the government, and then you want to rebuild, well, I'm sorry, sir. You're going to need like 4,000 permits, but that's not authoritarianism. Give them what they want or they'll beat you. They'll wish death upon you. And if one of them assassinates you, the rest of them will go, ha! Or, well, it's a shame, but... Another new account, $10 says, good morning, Rob. Heard about the emergency naked bike protest in Portland. Lefties want to schedule. I have not. That'll be violence to the eyes. Menace to society. Miggy says, you would have been perfect on whatever pod yesterday. I'd probably be perfect there every day. Let's now just, thanks, Miggy. Not quite dead. $10 says, Chicago PD received a dispatch to not respond to help ICE when they are rammed by armed crazies. Luckily, sources in CPD have reported. Yes! Imagine! local law enforcement being told, allow violence to be committed against federal law enforcement officers. Don't intervene. As I said in my little short video, remember, they said when Trump, who was an elected official, said fight like hell, that means he engaged in and incited an insurrection. And yet, stand down orders when there were actually people engaged in an insurrection, literal stand, not just not sending in, but literally saying, hey, we're going. No, don't do that. No problem. John Locke, $5, says, the right still thinks they can convince the left to be human. The left won. We are at negotiating terms. The right will never learn that the left are evil. Yeah, you know, I am religious, and I'm becoming more religious. But I've said this for years. Even if you're religious, you're not guaranteed to win on this earth. You're not. And it very much looks like we're losing. That's what it looks like. It looks like Jay Jones will probably win in Virginia. That's what it looks like. Remember when I used to have this conversation a lot? I was like, we have to be honest, after the 2020 election, would we have been better off if Trump had never won in 2016? Now, I wanted Trump to win for two reasons. One, to expose how corrupt our institutions are. And I thought if Trump wins, either him or the institutions themselves will reveal how corrupt the whole system is. And that happened in spades. We could see that the mainstream media is nothing more than the propaganda voice for the Democratic Party and for these institutions. We saw the FBI engage in unprecedented investigations and attacks against one of the candidates while protecting the other candidate for things that were more egregious. Then the other reason I voted for Trump was to do something about it. And Trump didn't do shit about it. Nothing. Was the deep state harmed after 4 years of Trump? No. In fact, quite the opposite. They were emboldened. Wait a minute. Now the public knows we did this shit, and it's just like, no big deal. Okay. No need to hide anymore. Now we can come right out and do whatever the fuck we want. We find ourselves in a similar situation now. It's not just that politically nothing's being done. It's that culturally, we've just accepted it. The left's violent. What can you do? Anyways. We just accept it. It's the way it is. And by the time people wake up, it may be too late, like in the UK. Sorry, sir, you're under arrest. Oh, no, I think you went to the house. The grooming gang's in the house next to us here. Oh, no, we know that. They're fine. But they're very offended about some mean tweets that you put out. So you're under arrest. That's where we're heading. Nani Germ, $5. Thank you so much, man. Always appreciate it. Brock Van Wagner, $20 for the day shift. I can't believe not 2 days ago, Austin Hall said that $357 is unreasonable. How did you know? This guy. My goodness. Jonathan Thorpe, $10 says, I guess the question would be, should the president go one step further and truly bring in normal troops to Portland and fully occupy the city? Not just like what happened in LA, but full occupation. I think a start would be sending him in like they did in LA and arresting it's not just a matter of arrest. You have to arrest and then prosecute them to the fullest extent of the law. On as heavy as charges as you can. You have to use RICO to go after the funding of these organizations. If that doesn't work, because they haven't even done that step yet, then we talk about what needs to go further. Lesson Cell, $5 says, Democrats would say, if you don't want Antifa taking over the cities, then you shouldn't have voted for Trump, so it's your fault for voting. Could have said it better. Bobby C, $5 says, the J. Jones texts were from 2022, according to the New York Post. That's why I read the story. Yep, That's true. They're from 2022. Were released this week. Krager, thanks so much for becoming a new member. Really appreciate it. And Max Reddick, $5 as Tim Pool called it. What happens when local law enforcement's asked to stand down when federal enforcement's being attacked? What the hell, man? Well, we see what happens. They stand down. How's this guy not ashamed? How's he not ashamed? Why don't we have thousands of law enforcement officers in these departments coming forward like it's outrageous what we're being told to do? All right, Collins. Put the link out there. We'll pin the link. All that good stuff. You talk about whatever you want. I prefer talking about these topics, but now, we are trying to reach our goal of 357. What is this little hydraulic press? Okay. We are trying to reach our goal here. I did take 5 days off. I know everyone thinks I'm just a bullshitter, and I took time off and was just like partying it up or some shit. But that's not what was going on. That's not what was going on. I was actually doing work, right? So, hopefully we'll be able to reveal the work that was going on. But because I've slacked, yes, and I was a lazy sack of shit, we're trying to make up for it. So day shift's got to at least get me to the goal. Don't worry, I'm going to be even more shitty to the night shift crew. Initiate detective. I keep getting things. Karlyn Borysenko. That's who you should look at. And then I have 50 people tell me, like, that chick's an absolute psychopath. So I don't know what to say about Karlyn Borysenko. I'm probably not going to. Enough people that I trust have told me that she's not someone to watch. So Jake said I was skydiving. Yeah, I'm supposed to debate tonight. All right. Max Reddick, $2 as idea. Rob versus Mehdi Hasan on Piers. I would love to debate Mehdi Hasan. We'll see. I'll get my opportunity soon. Fartin Spartan, $20 says, when or what will ever balance the scales? With each day, it feels more and more like I'll never see the America of my youth. You probably won't. It'll take generations. If it ever occurs. Understand, while right-wingers were concerned about winning elections, left-wingers were doing things like, let's take over the academic system. Because if we can indoctrinate children and their children's children, well, within 3 generations, almost every major field has people that come from some sort of academic. You need a degree. So we need to start slowly calling back. A couple more super chats and we'll get Not Quite Dead, $10 says, I would like to discuss with the chatter Trump Whopper, who says Antifa is not an organization. That's true. They're just all organically showing up every day. Teguch, $20 says, for the goal. What time's the debate tonight? 9:15. I'll probably start streaming at 9. At least I haven't heard that the debate canceled. So, like I said, it's going to be a weird topic, but I'll make it entertaining. I always do. All right. Now, I'm just going to go in order that I've seen people. Oh, and Amy Dusa, $2 says, maybe check her out before you decide. Thanks for that. Yeah, I don't know. The topic tonight is who's worse for society, Destiny or George Floyd? It's kind of a dumb topic. I don't know. So, all right. So, first up, Anthony, you ready to go? What is this? Changing your name on me. What's happening, sir? How you doing today?
It changed my name?
Yeah.
Oh, that's weird. I
Yeah.
didn't even know.
Fallen Heathen.
Fallen Heathen. I don't care.
Yeah.
Anthony's fine. Normally everybody calls me Tony. Nobody calls me Anthony. Unless I'm in trouble. Unless my wife's yelling at me or my mom.
So what's on your mind today, man?
Well, first of all, I need to give a shout out to, I'm assuming Black Elk is the one that put together that X-Files short of us talking about MK Ultra. That dude, that was so funny.
It's Black Elk's man. Like, he's funnier than me. Like, sometimes I have people like message me pissed off. Like, what the fuck? And I'm like, what? Hey, you didn't see this clip when I was talking to you. But I did watch that one view. I thought it was very funny. He did a good job.
He clipped parts of me like listening to you talk, and I was just like mouth breathing, looked like I was in space, dude. It was so funny.
He's amazing. He's a good guy, man. He really is.
Right on. No, dude, I mean, I want to talk about all this stuff you've been talking about. You kept jumping around, so it's kind of hard to pin down one thing, but I mean, the reaction is what they're looking for, right? I don't know. It's been so long since I listened to all the stuff on George Soros and how he made his millions and all that, but I'm pretty sure it was by destabilizing countries like this and causing civil war and civil conflict by buying up judges and buying up DAs and doing all this stuff. And I don't know. I mean, it kind of seems to be playing out, no?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about how he made his money, but definitely this is following a pattern that we see of the U.S. government, and you also see of NGOs like Open Society. If you could control sort of academia and you could control the legal system through prosecutors and judges, and that's sort of what Soros's agenda is, we will push for all these races, the prosecutors. And then we just say the prosecutors, well, we won't charge the people that are terrorist on our side or violent on our side, or we'll give them very light charges, and it destabilizes the society. That's certainly what's going on, and that's the intent, and you see the results playing out. It's one of the reasons they were so freaked out about Trump deploying the National Guard to D.C., which is the place legally it's easiest for him to do, right? It wasn't that they were worried that he wouldn't solve crime there. It was that they were worried that he would, because then all of a sudden it's like, well, wait a minute, what's going on here? And that's the truth. He did short the UK. That's right, Lord of the Nerds. But yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I was gonna say I remember in the very beginning when this first started back in 2016. I remember watching some videos and stuff on how George Soros made his millions and that. Yeah, they was shorting currency and causing like civil war and just completely collapsing economy this way.
Yeah, it's definitely something, and it's not just Soros, right? There's a bunch of people that are putting money. That's one of the reasons that they hated Doge so much, because Doge is sort of was going after the financing wing of going after so many of these left-wing groups, right? It matriculates down, but I've been saying this for years. I said that I did the video back there. I'll play it again here. I did the video way back in March, but I've been talking about this for years. As the left loses institutional power and cultural power, and that second part's probably even more important, they're going to become more and more violent. Because one thing that the left says that's sort of true, it's tangentially true, is violence is the language of the unheard. Well, what they're really saying, they use this to excuse it, right? Which it doesn't. It shouldn't excuse it. But what they're really saying is when people are desperate and they feel that there's no means for them to get their issues dealt with, they'll resort to violence. Just like as an individual, right? If I'm talking to you like, hey man, get off my property, and you keep walking closer towards me, right? And you're holding a ball bat, and you're yelling, and I'm like, listen man, get the fuck out, right? And you keep coming closer. Then I might brandish a firearm and say, I'm telling you man, I'm warning you. I'm going to actually deploy violence, in this case self-defense, as a last resort, right? Well, that's sort of the theory as well. If you're Bill Gates, you're not kicking anyone's ass. You don't have to. If you really are pissed at someone, you can fuck their lives up in a million ways. You don't have to I'm going to strap on the old fucking leather gloves and go throw some fists. It's not happening, right? And so what happens is right now, or not right now, let's say circa Obama years or Biden years, The left basically has almost every institution in this country, right? I've been talking about it after 2016 forever. What was the institutions that were right-wing? Academia, left-wing. Media, overwhelmingly left-wing. Political, if the Democrats
trades.
are in charge, right? What's that?
I would say the trades are like the only thing that were
Well, okay, but then you have like social media ran by lefties, right? Like entertainment industry, lefties, right? The only ones that you could really say, but they're not really institutions. Like the trades aren't an institution, really, right? But you could say the church, and look at what's happened with the Protestant church. It's becoming more and more left wing.
Yeah.
So the idea that there was like these institutions, and it was surreal to me. Like when I saw like the George Floyd protests and shit, who are they really protesting? Right? When they protest for systemic racism, then why aren't you at the systems? Like, you know where they're at. They're in DC. They're in Martha's Vineyard, right? Why aren't you protesting there? No. Instead, the problem was we're going to riot in inner cities and then we're going to blame Trump supporters. And when you look, now Trump's coalition's bigger, but the average Trump supporter were people like from my way of life, people in flyover country, in the Rust Belt, who are poor, working poor, right? That supported it. Was, you know, you could increasingly see that the Democrats were the party of the very wealthy and the very poor, like the non-working, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And all of a sudden we had this revolution that was like, you know who the real problem is? You, poor rural working white man Christian, you're the fucking problem. Really? And it was insane. I used to say it's the first revolution we've seen from the top down. A revolution sponsored by Nike and Starbucks.
Yeah.
You know, all they had to do was put out those words, virtue signal, Black Lives Matter. Oh, okay. One of my favorite pictures from the whole fucking fiasco was somewhere. I wish I'd saved this picture. I can't find it, but I talked about it on stream years ago, and then I had to delete it for circumstances. But it was a bunch of buildings that were spray painted and looted and attacked during one of the BLM riots. And then there was Chase Bank. And they had a big sign in the window that said Black Lives Matter. And it was untouched. Now, Chase Bank's been investigated for fraudulent loan practices to the black community. But that didn't matter. Yeah. All you had to do was put a sign up that said Black Lives Matter. And okay. As long as you're saying the right words, great. And like, you have all these people that are like, you know, that are blaming, and it's surreal because it used to be like that there was at least a differential in the power. You had like the political and maybe corporate power that was right wing, like during the Vietnam War. Then you had like the academics and the entertainment industry that was left wing. Now it's all left wing. At least it was. And then what happened? They went too far. And so culturally, the right started getting back in the fight, right? Then you had people like Elon Musk with social media. He's like, nah, fuck all that. I'm going to buy this, right? Then you had a bunch of people in the tech industry. They were tired of like the fucking mass regulations to the left. So they started to become more right-wing, right? You saw people less, but you saw moves starting in the entertainment industry. You saw people calling out the academic industry. And then you saw big victories politically for the right. And I said, when the left loses their near stranglehold on these institutions, what'll happen will be, you already see that they're violent. We already see it while they have this institutional access, and they're still violent. So what do you think's going to happen when they start to lose it? And I said, they're going to become more violent. At first, if anything's done to them, they'll be shocked. Like these people in Portland would be absolutely fucking shocked if one of them got arrested and got 20 years. They would be like, how can this happen? That's outrageous.
So what?
The rules are, we're the good people, you're the bad people. You can't arrest us. You can't do that. The very people that will say ACAB will be like, wait a minute. The cops that demand the cops be on their side would be like, this is outrageous. You know, and we've seen it over and over again. 2 lawyers in New York decide to use Molotov cocktails and attack a police vehicle. They get a slap on the wrist. They're already back to practicing law. I believe they are. Like, if it happened in the inverse, these people would be marching on the streets demanding life imprisonment. And so that's what we're starting to see. And at first, they're shocked. That's what you saw with the consequences of the people that were cheering on Charlie Kirk's death. They couldn't believe that people pushed back on them. What do you mean? This is what we do. So, yeah, I mean, it really is. They are right that you're going to see more violence from the left. And it's going to become more and more mainstreamed. It really is. Until it affects them where they're held to the, like, legal circumstances, right? And until the judges and the prosecutors allow this, are removed from office and possibly investigated for crimes themselves, it's not going to stop. It's not going to stop. And the Democrats, especially if this shit happens and the Democrats could weather the storm, it's like Jay Jones is going to be a benchmark. If Jay Jones could win after what he said, that's it. The Democrats are going to know. We don't have to condemn violence. I mean, what the fuck? The only way they're for the violence. The only way that they'll run on being against the violence is if they think it'll hurt them politically. And I'm here to say, I don't know that it will. I don't know. I think that we as a society might have just been propagandized to the point where we say, well, you know, of course the one side's engaged in all this violence and shit, but, you know, both sides do it and Trump's evil, so. And if that's the case, there's no hope. Like that's, or at least there's no immediate hope.
Yeah, I think I agree with you on the culture aspect. I think if we change, like you said, about more people, especially younger age groups, are becoming more Christian. Orthodoxy for sure is catching hold, more so than the Protestant faith. And I think we start changing, people's minds that way. It'll eventually change over time. My biggest concern is, I can't tell. I was watching Andrew Wilson over the weekend, and he was live streaming all the riots and stuff going on. And there was a guy wearing a Freedom T-shirt, the one that Kirk had on. Some dude snatched his hat off his head. And they were just surrounding him and getting in his face and stuff. And, dude, that makes my blood boil. These kids are fucking cowards, dude. They've never been in fistfights. They've never seen real violence, and they think they're tough because they're in big mobs like that. My concern is a bunch of good old boys getting together and showing up and putting an end to this bullshit. And that's the reaction they're looking for, is now they can say, look at these psychos that showed up with their, whatever, baseball bats or ARs and kind of dealt with it on their own. But it's either that's going to have to happen if the cops if the cops don't do something, or we just need to agree to disagree, and y'all go your way and we all go our way, and we're going to get separations of states, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be something like, I'm trying to remove people from my life.
Or Trump needs to act like a fascist and start arresting all these judges.
No, he doesn't have to act like a fascist. That's not what needs to happen, right? And it doesn't need to arrest the judges. The judges should be impeached if they're blatantly breaking the law. Other than that, what Trump needs to do is to push forward using every legal mechanism that he can, which they're not doing. And then when it gets to the Supreme Court, you hope the Supreme Court does the right thing. You can talk about what to do after that culturally, but now I'm not going to cheer for actual fascism. But yeah, I mean, I see where you're coming. There, I found what I was looking for. So, but all right, man, I got a bunch of people on the line. It's always a pleasure following Ethan, though. It really is.
Right, man.
I always appreciate.
I'll make sure I fix my name later.
No, it's all right. Yeah, I didn't know, because some people legitimately change their name and want to go by the new name because they got a new channel or new branding. So I'm always, when it's someone I know, I'm always like, I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
It normally autofills every time I go to sign in, and today I just didn't even pay attention.
Yeah, it does that with me. I use several, like when I'm doing the extravaganza, they use a slightly different platform, and it always autofills my name to like something stupid from like one of my other, like my email address. It's like, it's not what I'm trying. But all right, man, you take it easy. It's always good to hear from you, following Ethan. Let's get his channel. I always like to, if someone has a channel and they call in, to make sure I give you a link to their channel. Now I have it. I have too many channels saved is my problem. Let's find it. There he is. Found him. A good name, too, for a channel. Just Fallen Heathen. Then we'll read some super chats, get to the next caller after I show you one more short of mine. Beatrix Rumford, $5 says, Carolyn's doing good work, but she's completely insufferable. It's great that she has her own platform and she likes it that way too. Okay. I mean, I'll check it out. It's people have been saying her name a lot to me, and it seems like some people are big fans, and other people, I've had people say worse things than just she's insufferable. I've had people say like, she'll try to ruin your channel. That's what I've had. Don't deal with this person. They'll try to ruin your channel. And I've had people I trust tell me that. So makes it difficult, but watching video wouldn't be a harm. Not quite dead. What a legend. $50 says, keep owning the lefties. I will try, man. Thank you. And Alan Hats, 5 memberships. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Really do. I'll play this video one time. I know I've played it a lot, but this was, I believe, in March of this year. Seeing reports of Tesla buildings being attacked, people that drive Teslas having their cars vandalized. There's other stories of people that are suggesting on places like Reddit that Elon Musk and Donald Trump may need to be taken out. Make no mistake about it. I've said for years, all of the insane violence that we saw coming from the left, from places like Antifa, from way back when you saw them rioting at places like Berkeley to prevent people from going in to hear the terrible Ben Shapiro from speaking, riots that we saw on college campus, them locking Riley Gaines into a room, not letting her go out, other attacks that we saw all across this country during the Black Lives Matter, the Chaz Zone, all of this stuff. The irony was, all of this was occurring while the left had institutional power. And I said, if you think this violence is bad now, wait until they start losing those connections to institutional power. Now, they had direct connections in the sense that there were cultural connections, such as the people that were running things were advocating policies and at least paying lip service to the issues that these radical leftists wanted, such as Trans America, Black Lives Matter, etc. But now we're starting to find out that there are connections possibly in the terms of financial connections where we see NGOs that were possibly financing institutions that were leading to these sorts of people that then went on and engaged in different attacks. Oh, I forgot to mention those against pro-life centers. Remember, the FBI couldn't get to those because most of those attacks occurred in the evening. Remember, that's what Chris Wray, head of the FBI, said? I predict that as we see these NGOs start to collapse and the funding dries up and the cultural shift starts going the other way, that these groups will become more desperate. Initially, they won't understand that they can't get away with it with impunity like the majority of the Black Lives Matter riots, and there will actually be consequences if there's any justice in this world. So you're about to see what I would predict would be an uptick in violence that occurs from these left-wing groups. They feel morally righteous. They've been gaslit into believing their opponents are Nazis, and you're justified in doing whatever you want against Nazis. They'll become more brazen in non-violent attacks, such as going after J.D. Vance when he's walking with his daughter, and violent attacks in the form of vandalism and other things that we see, up to and possibly including things such as assassinations, which we've seen 2 attempts so far against Trump. So gird your loins, we're probably going to see more of these violent reactions from the left, and it'll all be smugly ignored, cheered on, or wink, wink, nudge, nudge from people in positional power in the establishment and on the left. That's March. Remember when we had people that own Teslas having their properties vandalized, Tesla dealerships being vandalized, attacked, firebombed, and late night comedians were like, ha ha ha, Tesla stock's going down. We just accepted it. Just accepted it. That's it. That's the left. Well, what can you do? And then when the right's like, you know what? We're not going to buy Bud Light anymore. They're like, oh, hypocrites. Thought you were against cancel culture. Yeah, we didn't suggest beating the shit out of everyone drinking a Bud Light or destroying their property. We're just like, we're not going to purchase it. I'm here to say it's going to get worse. Why wouldn't it? The attacks are effective. There's no consequences ever. When you defend yourself. Remember the McClowskis? Remember that? St. Louis? People break into their gated community, break into their property, menacing them. They draw firearms to chase the people away. Did the people that broke into their property get arrested? No, they did. Do you remember when Vosh was talking about Kyle Rittenhouse? And someone was talking to him and was like, what did you want Rittenhouse to do? This mob's chasing him. What was he supposed to do? And Vosh was basically like, he should have sat there and been at the mercy of the mob. And if they decided to beat him, that's the truth. Listen to these people talk when they think they're in their little bubble. Listen to Destiny when he says, Republicans should fear for their lives to be in public. The worst thing that could happen was that bullet missing Trump. Listen to Vosh where he says, well, you know? Rittenhouse should have just sat in there and taken his beating. They mean this shit. They do. They really do. It's not just some fringe. This is how they feel. This is how they fucking feel. If you live in Virginia and the attorney general is elected, who had said that he wishes death upon the children of the Republican that was in office, and now he's the chief prosecutor of the state. How does that make you feel knowing that the chief cop in the state wants you dead? Hates you so much. You might say, well, it's performative. Okay, let's put it this way. At least felt comfortable enough to tell his opponents that he wants you dead because he hates you that much. It hasn't changed that he hates you that much. Now that guy's the chief law enforcement officer of the state, and all your friends, family, neighbor, etc. that voted him in, they feel the same way. How would you feel? Oh, well. You're like, hey, you know what? I'd like you to stop indoctrinating my children. I'd like the border to be enforced. I'd like my property tax to be lowered. And they're like, we want your children murdered. 55% of Democrats polled said that they could somewhat justify the murder of Donald Trump. Something like 28% of Democrats polled said that if you didn't take the vaccine during COVID, your children should be taken from you. Nearly a third. Some 50% suggested that you should be put in a camp. But we just have to ignore it. Poll after poll after poll. And forget about the polls. Fuck them. You can't see with your own two eyes? All right, next up, Miggy. How are you doing today, my friend?
What's good, Rob?
Not much. Oh, I guess what's bad, not much. Things are good. I'm back with the family. That's nice. Got some work done this weekend. That was good. Miss people, but miss doing the streaming stuff. But I'm back. So
Yeah. Well, I had some bad news. I said, it looks like my rent is going up again, even though I just got a raise. And then I looked up when my RV tires ripped open. I'm like, I just replaced one of them, and now I got to replace another one.
it sucks, man.
But besides that, I put a link on to the As and Goes video about Reddit in trouble because I guess some of the employees have been aiding and abetting some of the malicious acts that some of the
I saw the one lawyer streamer put this out, and basically he's looking at the let me see. I don't follow the fucking Ethan Klein drama, but it's something to do with this. Ethan Klein put a video up where he intentionally, or where people basically ripped up his video, these lefties, and now he's filing a lawsuit against them. Part of that lawsuit, I believe, unless there's a separate one, has to do with Reddit mods that were like brigading him. And so part of the filing that the lawyer for the Reddit mods point out said something to the effect of this. We fear that there will be retaliation. That's why some of the administrators at Reddit helped us by providing services to erase our digital footprint from Reddit and other websites. Now,
that's pretty much aiding and abetting.
That's if there was a legal holding to withhold this evidence, and then paid employees of Reddit helped mods at Reddit by deleting evidence, then that would be a big deal. That's what's being alleged.
In fact, I think that there's enough evidence to prove that that's probably that has happened. And it really goes to show, like, all these lefties pretty much are in these employee positions who are aiding and abetting this type of behavior.
I can't speak enough to. One, I'm not a lawyer. Second, I haven't followed this case to really know. I know I saw the little video of the lawyer that did this, and that's what he's claiming. There could be a simple explanation, so I'm not willing to pile on. But like I do think that it's something worth to be said that Reddit's a left-wing hellhole cesspool. You can see it. You see what goes on there. You see the power that the moderators have there, right? Then you can see the same as like on Twitch. It's not just moderators. It's people in positions of authority at places like Reddit, at places like Wikipedia, and at places like Twitch that allow the incredible left-wing slant, including some very heinous shit. Take Wikipedia out of it for this because I can't speak on them specifically. But on Reddit, you can see all the fucking celebration of the death of Charlie Kirk, and certainly you hear the shit that's said on Twitch. And the employees there, sometimes at high levels, seem to have a slanted view and allow certain things to occur. And
which is insane. And basically, you can see how much stuff they have incited and how much some of the vile stuff they say, and yet nothing has been done about it. And this is one of the things that, I remember that debate with Stephen Crowder and Joe Wells. Like, well, it's because of people like Joe Wells for a week who did nothing, and you have people like Stephen Crowder and Charlie who try to take up the mantle instead. Like, the older generation gave up. But the newer generation was basically taking on the challenge, and we paid for it with our lives, like what happened with Charlie Kirk. Now, and they're still complaining, oh, Trump bad. Like, at this point, they're the problem. I'm sorry, like, any politician, Republican politician, or any conservatives, any libertarian think that it's not a problem, or they still think Trump bad, or this and that. Like, you can criticize Trump, but really, if you're going to be stepping in our way, you're pretty much part of the problem. This is one of the reasons why the left has gotten so out of control and gotten so violent in the first place. And they have gotten there. Basically, it's crazy to even look at the fact that, well, because Trump won, we have to be violent. So what they really want, to be honest, Rob, and I've been looking at it for a very long time, what they really want is to enslave every white man to the minorities and have the minorities with the whips and chains.
Well, it's not. I don't disagree to an extent. That's certainly what some people want. Like, when you talk about racial equality, there are certainly a lot of people that say, no, blacks were slaves at some point, whites need to be slaves, right? That's what needs to happen. Like, there's certainly that, but I don't think that that's what, like,
they pretty much want
Bill Gates isn't saying, I hope that I get put in chains. I don't think he's saying that. I think at the top level, I think what they're doing is that they understand that by pushing this cultural Marxism of the oppressor versus oppressed and holding up victimhood as the highest virtue, that it allows them to have unfettered control. They're worried that there'll be some situation where you have a mass movement of people that rise up against them and say, wait a minute, this system's fucking us over. And so what better way to get those people at their throats by saying, we'll just delineate a million different ways in which we could say they're oppressed versus oppressor, and then people will be busy fighting with that. And so when you look at it, white people are oppressors, so it's okay to go after white people. Christians are oppressors, it's okay to go after Christians. Men are oppressors, it's okay to go after men. Straight people are oppressors, it's okay to go after straight people. And if they're oppressors, well, they're basically fascist. And so therefore you could use whatever tactic that you want against any of them. And that's the mentality that they have. So yes, there is a subset of those that would be like, I'm black, I want white people in chains, but that's not exclusive to everyone on the left.
Yeah, but I'm telling you that when it comes to the overall, goal is to basically bring about a dystopian society where pretty much you look at movies like Alita Battle Angel or like the Hunger Games. That's pretty much what they want. That's pretty much what they want going through. No argument there. No argument there. That's pretty much what they want. They want.
The way I put it, I have not seen any of those. I never watched the Hunger Games and Alita Battle Angel. I don't know. For me, what they want's a neo-feudalism, right? I think that ultimately what it comes down to is, if I try to put it in as charitable terms as possible for them, they feel that basically there are an elite subset of people that really should run the world and they know what's best, and that the average person's voice is irrelevant. And it's not that they hate you, it's just that you're irrelevant to the greater goal. And what they want is sort of a one world system. If you're Microsoft, you don't want to deal with 140 countries with 140 laws. You want one law that stretches throughout the entire world. That's what you want. And so they want that world where national boundaries are eroded, where basically they, as leaders of academia, leaders of industry, leaders of like that political class of people there, they have total say over what goes on. And it's sort of a neo-feudalism. They're the lords on the hill, and you're the peasants, and you operate for the benefit of the lords on the hill. And they don't necessarily treat you like shit. You're worthless. You as an individual peasant's worthless to them. The peasant class has some benefit because it helps the lords live on the hill. But that's it. You're sheep, you're cattle. They don't give a shit. Like, if you get in their way, they'll dispose of you. It's not because they hate you, it's just because get the fuck out of here. Now, the actual ones that fight against them, they may hate, they may go against. But that's basically the idea, that they want this neo-feudal. And they'll give you bread and they'll give you circuses. You just can't criticize them. And so that to me is what I see going on. Yeah.
You see right now, I mean, this is like the whole thing. You have the weak man creating hard times, like that cycle. We're pretty much at that point right now where we're heading to hard times.
Yeah.
And like even with Donald Trump president, it still won't. It's still not going to stop what's coming in the future, no matter what. Like you just need to be prepared. Try to live the best life you have. Make sure your kids are prepared, and just make sure they're well equipped with everything the best knowledge you can probably give them. And best training to be able to defend themselves, fend for themselves, and be able to tell right and from wrong. That's what we can do for us. At least when it comes to small town societies like I live here, there's a better chance of making it through the hard times. But when it comes to big cities or like liberal strongholds, I don't know. I don't see a bright future for them at all.
Well, I mean, I don't disagree. I think the best thing we could do at this point culturally is the first step is to balkanize. Go to areas with like-minded people where you have a chance of of sharing your cultural values and your political values with those people around you. That's step one. And these people that want to, that will be left in the cities and places like that, they're going to have a bad time. They're going to have rampant crime and all of that stuff, and that's what they want. And that's fine. I wish them the best with that. I hope that it's not negative. Maybe they'll prove to be right. But at this point, I choose not to associate with those people to the best of my ability. I'm not saying that I'll never work with those people or anything like that. I'm just saying I'm happy where I live, that I have a community of people that are looking out for each other. So, Hey, Nicky, I got to let you go, man. Appreciate it. Always a pleasure. So I hope you have a great day, man.
Well, one more thing. Each script a day keeps the crazies away. So,
thanks, man. I appreciate it. Take it easy, Miggy.
All right.
Bye. All right. Another super chat. Jack, the guitar god, another $20. Thanks so much, Jack. Man, I appreciate it. Thank you to everyone watching on Rumble. Appreciate it. 35 people watching on Rumble. That's no small feat. I'm very much a fan of that. Thank you so much. All right. I'm going to give everyone their favorite. We got Avarice coming up next. Before we get to Avarice, though, I'm going to give everyone their favorite part of the show, the Hasan Cam. That's right. Much like Hasan, I'm just going to leave my chair in front of a camera, and then you guys are going to be like, whoa, yeah, just like Hasan. Biggest streamer, one of the biggest political streamers in the world, right? He knows how to do it. Unlike Hasan, I won't play copyrighted material. We'll just see the chair. But there it is, everyone's favorite. Go ahead, Chair. Tell them how your week's been. They haven't heard from you in a while. I'll be right back. How'd you do, Chair? Oh, wow. People donating to the Chair. Good job, Chair. We should just have the Chair take call-ins. Avarice would probably have more to say to the Chair than me, to be honest. Arby for $10 says, my favorite host is back. Good job, Chair. Jack the Guitar God, $10 for the Chair. Average Redhead, $2 super sticker for the chair. And Lord of the Nerds, $5 says, and Soviet Russia chair sits on you. What a country. Oh, look at that. A fellow Yakov Smirnov fan. I think we're losing the audience when we start quoting Yakov Smirnov. Anyone remember? I didn't give the chair enough time. Maybe later here. All right. So we still got 2.5 hours in the show since I started early today because I felt bad. I felt like I have not been living up to my obligations as a streamer. Now, it'd be nice. At this point, I think it's a foregone conclusion that we're going to get to our goal of $357. What would be nice is if we can get to 200%, though. I remind you, you have no idea what I've been up to. Where was I at for 5 days? Hypothetically, I was sitting in a room as a member of the Crucible with Donald Trump and Elon Musk. Hypothetically, that could have been what happened. Of course, then you're like, well, then why the fuck would we donate to you? Like, you couldn't ask them for a couple bucks? Nah. Maybe that's where I was. Maybe not. We don't know. But you'll probably soon get some news of what was going on. So, I don't know. I don't know what Andrew has said publicly. I'm guessing not much yet. But Sarah Knight Jenkins, not so erudite. We should spread body positivity, unless you're robnoerr. Hey, man, I'm very positive about my body. I'm positive that it's a fat piece of shit, but it's still positive, right? You see, if I looked like this, look at this himbo. Not the best, most flattering or high-def photo there. Jake Rattlesnake, the ladies are Jake fans, right? But if I look like that and was as smart as I am, okay, smart's not the word, just as talented, how about that? It wouldn't even be fair. Like, what would other streamers do? So I have to give them something. So at this point, I feel like it's my duty to continue to not be too attractive. Because I don't want to, like, shoehorn in on Jake's crowd. You know? Jake's just like, his video's like, oh, I've been working out, crikey. Well, the shrimp on the barbie, Foster's beer. And he's like, everyone's like, yay! All the ladies are like, Jake did great. He did fantastic. All right. Speaking of himbos, Avarice, what's happening today?
Did you just call me a himbo? You called me a himbo. You know what? And here I am today to heckle you about your 5 days without an announcement, might I add.
Now, that's not true. I announced. Well, I told people on my Tuesday show. Now, I did.
I told people on my Tuesday show, but we'll go into the Discord here. Announcements. I suppose there's call for this channel now. And any official communiques from the staff owner to the community, I will occur here. Now, the next thing I'll say at everyone. Now, this would be where I get my grand announcement. Rob will be gone for 5 days. You don't have to panic. Everybody chill. He is not sick, but it does say, and everyone do not post Charlie Kirk being shot. This is obviously against TOS. Don't be an idiot or idiot, or I will catch a day timeout. Now listen, that does not.
By the way, you know who runs that? You know who runs it?
Our EOD. I do not know where I point my finger. I always point the finger at EOD. It's a must, but that does not prevent you from being heckled. So now you were gone for 5 days. So what do? I send a message. Rob, are you doing okay? Does Avarice get a message? Nay.
No, you
didn't. Message to EOD. Does EOD get a message? Nay. And then he finally does. All right. Now with this message, I might have gotten more than I should have, but I missed Rob. So during my time of missing Rob, I rolled up my sleeves like so, and I put in, Grok, do you know who robnoerr is?
When it's
like Grok responds, yes! robnoerr is an American conservative political commentator, streamer, and self-described populist conservative, known for his anti-establishment views.
All right.
Debates on topics like government corruption and cultural issues and frequent clashes with left-leaning figures, he's gained a niche following in online political circles, particularly within communities around streamers' destiny. Okay, it goes on more jobber, blah, blah, blah. But then here we go. It gets even more fun. His style. Now we go, right here.
Okay.
He's aggressive and debate heavy. This is my favorite part, by the way.
Okay.
He's been called a bulldog for relentlessly challenging his opponents with whataboutisms.
Oh!
Question for question tactics and appeal to common sense. Though critiques, especially in Destiny's Reddit community, often label him disingenuous and quite literally using ChatGPT for his points.
As opposed to Grok. See, Grok's pissed at me. They're like,
Grok, got a mad Grok. So then I put, hey, Grok, how is Rob as a debate opponent? You know, because I'm just trying to, I've been missing you for so long here, right? Strengths as a debate opponent, persistent and energy. Rob is known for a high energy approach. Tactical questioning. His frequently uses of whataboutisms and question for question tactics to shift focus or expose perceived inconsistencies. Relatability, nor appeals to common sense, and his frame is the common man.
I mean, I know it's putting those as a negative light. The idea is, I think that I read somewhere that when like Grok and shit gets most of its social media relevancy from Reddit. So I'm assuming I get talked about on Destiny's Reddit community, as it said there. So
yeah,
I know
your adaptability was on the plus side too. That was the last point, but it does have your weaknesses, Rob. It does say perceived lack of depth.
Oh,
now yeah, I want to talk about your lack of depth here. I think that you just are putting too many things in a monolith. All right, I don't think you're. This is like flat Earth, right? You're flat Earth, and we're snow globe. You're just not thinking big enough, right?
It's funny you mentioned flat Earth. I heard a lot about flat Earth this weekend.
Evasiveness, polarization, and vulnerability to skilled debaters. Apparently, a national champion isn't a skilled debater, and you're vulnerable to other skilled ones.
Who the hell's the skilled debater that I'm vulnerable to? Well, I know. Destiny. What? Because I'm guessing that what they'll say is something like this. Sure, Rob could blow out random callers on his show. It's the same shit they say about Charlie Kirk. I saw Andrew arguing with them the other day. Well, Charlie Kirk only debates college kids. And it's like, right. Charlie would say, well, let's debate like professors and stuff. And they'd be like, no. Steven Crowder was out there like, I want professors to debate me.
Listen,
no.
And now you know that I'm going to take this to a new level because since you've been gone for 5 days, I haven't had my right-wing pill. I transitioned to the left. And I'm going to say that you made me do this. And now I am going to go to all the houses around here. And I'm just going to start throwing toilet paper on all of them, blaming robnoerr for not showing up. And they don't know why. Those people, they don't know why. But you made me do this, Rob, because they voted you as my right pill activist. And because you were gone without information, you made me do this.
Yeah, okay. Now, first off, I should have put something on the Discord. I fucked up there. But I did tell my audience, but even to them I lied, because I was like, I'll definitely be back Sunday. I wasn't sure what was going on. Now, I was supposed to be back Saturday in a timely fashion, and then it was canning day. So me and my wife, we always go up to a friend's place and I don't do shit. I sit there and drink beer and watch football. My wife and all of her friends, they can like spaghetti sauce and, pickles.
And does that excuse you for not messaging your
Well, no, it doesn't, because not only that, I still wasn't back for that. So I was actually later than that getting back. But yes, I did see that you messaged me. Here's the problem. Like, it's not your fault, but I got like 12 messages. And I was like, I'm going to have to respond to all these.
And you know all 12 of them were worried, sick?
No, most of them were like, you should debate this guy. Like, for example, I don't think that I'm spilling any tea here to say, Modern Day Debate reached out to me. He was like, we're trying to do political debates again. Here's 8 potential topics. Here's some people. Do you have any history with them? Would you be interested in any of these topics? And I'm like, okay, I could respond to that, but I was busy and I was out doing shit. And I basically put my phone aside and was just like, not going to deal with that until like the evening when I'm laying down in bed.
Yeah, so your worried friend that says, "Hey, Rob, you doing okay?"
I would have been weird at 4 a.m. to be like, "Hi, Avarice, I'm fine. I'm under the blankets.
No,
they have extra comfortable sheets here."
Your autistic friend who's up all night playing Rust would be like,
"That's right.
Oh, was my base rated? No, it's Rob. Okay, it's good.
It's all right. It's all right. It's good.
I can sleep better."
I will get better. Look, I will definitely be gone in November. I'll make sure.
I'll be gone in November. Where you'll be?
You'll be where I'm at. But I'll still message you and say, I'm here.
Hey, Rob. Hey. Oh, hi, Rob. I'm here too.
I'm over at the other side of the room.
I'm texting you right now. Rob, read your text.
I will.
Text.
It's good. You can have 2 conversations at once.
Do you know how annoying that would be if we're all sitting there, we're around this big ass table, we got dining room table, and here someone is, Rob, you got that text I sent? Rob, text. Hey,
check your phone.
Hey.
I've seen shit like that. I've said, like the younger generation. Like I've seen people in a room texting each other, and it's like I can see doing it if you're trying to hide something from other people, but it's like that's just how we communicate.
I don't know. Now. See, I have no filter. I'm really bad. I don't hide things. I just say it in front of that person's face. Like I'll be like, "Hey, look at it." And my wife will be like, "Babe, you can't say that in public." I go, "He dressed like that," and like, "That's a lady." Like, no, it's an it. Like I don't know what you're talking about. She's like, "Shh, text that shit." I'm like, "No, I can't."
I had a. To me. You remind me a lot of my friend. He can't control himself, and like we were at this place. These girls had this one girl brought a Louis Vuitton bag, and she's bragging about how awesome it is. And she's like, "What do you think? What do you think?" And I could just see him sitting there like. And they finally asked him, and he's like, "I think it sucks. How much money did you pay for that?" And like they pulled him aside, and they're like, "Hey, don't say that. She just like went through a breakup or whatever, and it's gonna really hurt her feelings." And all he could do the rest of the night, like all night, blah 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 blah. He's like, "Yeah, still your bag still sucks though." Because once they told him not to do it, he's like, "Well, fuck you. That's what I'm gonna do all night." And the girl like stormed off. Yeah, and the girl storms off crying like and left. And everyone's looking at my friend. I was the only one. I was like, "I got your back, man. I think you did the right thing." That's what
I think my problem with this one is I die on the hill I make, even if I'm wrong. Like I'm just like, nope, I'm on the hill. I've now put my flag in this hill, and I'm not moving from it.
Yep.
and then I can clearly see the missile. Know I'm on the wrong hill, and I'm just like, no. My values.
Totally. All right. I got a bunch of people. I am sorry to you and everyone else. I am sorry. I should have been more clear about how long my disappearance would be in my drug-fueled, business meeting that I was on.
I just wanted to heckle you a little bit, about your disappearance, your no information at all, and the fact that you have not sufficiently blamed EOD for relaying the skill or this information for us all to know. So I think that EOD needs reprimand.
If anything, I should be reprimanded for not telling EOD so that he could have done something.
Well, listen. I mean, let's not put all the fault on your shoulders now. There is EOD to blame. All right. Oh, and last question before I go. How the fuck did you let a Pollock as a mod? I saw Bill Hicks, that drunkard.
He's a Polish gentleman? I didn't even know.
That's one of the greatest fucks out there. I can't believe he's a mod, but
there he is. He faked his death.
Here he is.
One of my favorite comedians. Yeah. He's back, baby.
He's back. All right,
he's doing a great job.
Get the donos in with hatred to EOD for his lack of information on the Discord. That's fair. All I gotta say about that.
That's fair. Are we not meant? Like my other mods are like, get on EOD.
Just EOD.
All right, Avarice. Always a pleasure, man. I am sorry I didn't respond to you. I'll respond to that message here later. So
yep.
You take it easy, man.
Back to the grind.
All right, we'll see you. I know. I did see that message from Avarice. I fucked it up. Free $57. Unbelievable. Thank you so much. What an absolute legend. And I know that got us to our goal. Sarah Knight Jenkins, $5 says Avarice is a federal agent. Now it's adding up. But free, thank you so much. Our goal, $357. All right. Now, I don't know. The order got all fucked up on me. So, Dusty, you're up next. You ready to go, man? All right. So, we're going to bring Dusty on next. I reset the goal because I'm a greedy bastard. So, we're trying to get, because I was off so many days, we'll see if we can get to 200% of the goal. We have until 2:30. Dusty, how you doing today, my friend? How's it going?
How are you doing? I'm doing well. I just got back from a week off, too.
Yeah. It's one of those things where, obviously, my job here is sort of fake, being a streamer. But even with it, like, I've been like this my whole life. If you take a week off and do something else, when you come back, you feel like you're like, it's like a struggle. You got twice as much work to do to catch up and shit like that. Streaming, it's not so bad, but you do. If you're like trying to keep up like with news day to day, it's like, well, shit, there's a bunch of stuff that I missed that any one of these stories could have been like an hour segment. And now it's like I got 8 of them. So, but I'm doing good. I'm happy to be back.
And then when you're on vacation, I don't know if you went anywhere, but not only are you not making money because you're not working, you're spending money, right? It's like the double whammy.
I did spend money. Again, once it comes out what I was doing, people will be like, yeah, that dude spent money. So I was at a place where it's real easy to spend money. That's all I'll say about it. So yes, it certainly was a double whammy, but that's all right. My audience is awesome and we'll make up for it. But yeah, it was fun, but at the same time, good to be home. So
well, no, mostly I just wanted to come check in on you. It seems like you've been greatly wounded by the verbal attacks and mean words of the left.
It's not so much the verbal attacks and the mean words. That's fine. It's like this, right? If someone tells you like, I hate you, I hope you die, I hope your children die. Hey, you want to go out for a cup of coffee? You're like, no, I'm good. Right? Now, you may have suspected that your coworker didn't like you, but once they come out like that, it's like, okay, good. I don't want to deal with you anymore. And so that's what I'm seeing. And it's not just that. It's not just their mean words. It's like, well, Charlie Kirk did get killed. And, ICE agents were shot at and detainees got killed. And they are being attacked, like, as we speak on a day-to-day basis. And it's being done by people that, by the way, wanted me censored for criticizing the 2020 election and were able to achieve it, and wanted me censored for conversations I had about the pandemic and were successful there. And now they engage in all this shit and actively cheer it on. And I'm supposed to be like, oh, okay.
You're acting like all these offenses are done by the same entity, right?
Sure.
Charlie Kirk, you've got a wacko who shot a guy.
Of course.
I don't. Right.
Of course, you can
ICE
say
is not working with Charlie Kirk's killer.
Okay, so let me put it this way. Do you remember the clip on Bill Maher's show where Ben Affleck sort of became infamous for fucking with why can I never remember Sam Harris, right? Do you remember? You know what I'm talking about? Where Ben Affleck's like, that's racist. That's racist. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about. But what Sam was talking about there was he was talking about Islam. And he was like, so here's the problem that we see. Polling shows over and over again that this is the problem with Islam. Just like, and I want you to think about this with the left in the United States and draw comparisons. There's a very small percentage of people in Islam that are actually willing to use violence or terrorism, right? Which that's fine. You could say that about any group. You could say that. You could take the most bullshit centrist politician. There's probably some fucking nut out there, some John Fetterman fan, or
there's none of those.
But yeah, he's still gonna win, bro. Here in PA. Nonetheless, you see the point. They could do something fucking crazy, even if it's a milquetoast, right? So yes, you accept that. You don't blame an entire political movement because there's one lunatic. The problem that Sam Harris is talking about with Islam is the next group of people, and that's that 25%. And this is polled over and over again. 25% of people that are Muslims in countries around the world celebrate and justify those that are committing terrorism on their behalf, right? That's the Democratic Party. When you see Charlie Kirk killed and you see thousands upon thousands of people that are like, yes, this is a good thing and it should happen to more people, that's the problem. When you see when you see polling that suggests 55% of Democrats say that they could at least somewhat justify the murder of Donald Trump, and the polls are just, they show this over and over. And over
That's
and
freedom
over.
of speech. What if that's not the problem? That's the solution.
Well, that's exactly my point.
People are always going to be nuts. Right?
Right.
People are always going to be nuts. Having them do it out in the public is
okay. Where have I suggested censoring them? I haven't suggested that. I'd say go for it.
You have to. I've heard you at least a handful of times this stream.
Said what?
Complain about these people being allowed to be on YouTube.
No, I said that the way that the
you've done that about Destiny.
Okay, right. The way that the enforcement went, that Parler's kicked off and Gab's kicked off, and that people like me are kicked off for benign offenses while people are allowed to call for people's deaths. Do you think that you right now should be allowed to call for the murder of Donald Trump and be allowed to remain on YouTube?
Is that what happened?
I'm asking if you think that.
Probably. That might be stepping over the line.
Okay,
I'm
admit,
almost a free speech absolutist, but you know.
Okay, but you admit there's a line. There's a line that we would say, okay, once that line's crossed, we understand that you shouldn't be allowed to say those things public. Like, I shouldn't be allowed to come on and advocate for this specific death and say, you people should specifically murder this person. I think we could agree that's
sure.
The
we can agree with that.
Right.
Specific calls to violence are no-go.
Sure. So then the question becomes, at what point do we enforce those? Now, I would even say that I'm probably looser than some people, because I would say you have to take into account whether or not someone's being hyperbolic or joking, right?
Right.
Like when Sam Hyde says, you know, after that boxing match, I want Hasan next. I'm going to skin him and wear his suit like an Irishman. I think he's joking. I don't think that that's literally him suggesting he's going to do that, right? But if people are calling for specific, so I'll give you an example. When Vosh says, after a Patriot Prayer member was murdered by a member of Antifa, Michael Reinhold was the name of the guy that murdered him, right? When Vosh is talking about that and he's saying things like, well, there's a genocide against trans people, and shouldn't we stop Hitler before he's coming? And then he says, I envision a world where people are taking shots out windows at Patriot Prayer. Should he be allowed to say that?
Yeah.
It's called for death. It's called for violence.
It could be interpreted that way, but it's not a specific call.
Okay, so
it's whimsical. It's whimsical.
It's whimsical?
I don't agree with it. First of all, but somebody sitting around fantasizing about a chaotic world, yeah, I'm fine with that. I'm definitely more fine with that than I am with
what I want. But this is why I dispense. This is why I like talking to you, but I dispense with your argument here because the very people that wanted me censored for almost nothing, now you're like, well, you shouldn't call for their. I'm not actually calling for their censorship. What I'm doing is pointing out the double standard. I'm saying that if it's going to be enforced upon Gab and Parler and people like me and millions of other people that we were censored, how can the same groups that did that look at people that are saying shit like this and say they're allowed to stay on the platform?
So if they're gonna violate an ideal, why wouldn't you violate the same ideal?
No, that's not the point.
That sounds like the point.
So let me tell you, do you believe that there were racist police officers in the Jim Crow South?
Yeah.
Okay, so you would say this. If you sat there one day and you watch these police officers pull over just black people for speeding, right? And they're going 51 mile an hour and the limit's 50 in this town. So they pull them over and over and over. Now you watch white people driving by 80 mile an hour and they never pull them over, right? Your argument would be, fuck them blacks, they broke the law. And I'd say, yeah, but this is clearly racist. It's clear that they're not going after the white. You'd say, oh, so your principle is the blacks should be allowed to violate the law because the whites can? You see how fucking stupid you sound?
But we're not living there, though.
Sure
That's the thing. That's why you sound stupid, and I
living.
Sound like I'm aware of my surroundings. I would, if you told me that cops were predominantly racist now, I'd be like, no, stop being victims. Black people, white people get arrested too and pulled over.
You're right that it's not specifical racism to racism. What we're talking about is a two-tier enforcement of justice. Can you show me one city in the country where right-wingers are attacking federal buildings over and over and over again while the local politicians and police stand down and allow it to occur? Can you show me one?
No, I
Thanks.
Cannot.
Okay.
Right.
Can you show me the example when we're specifically saying, do you dispute that thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of right-wingers were censored on places like YouTube for questioning the pandemic or questioning the 2020 election?
Of course
Okay,
they were, and it was,
do you
and it was
question
bullshit,
that?
and it was bullshit. But doing more bullshit isn't a good way to address it.
Is it a two-tier enforcement that the way that they allow the left to get away with shit
It's
that's even worse?
With YouTube, I don't even know if I agree that it's left versus right. I think it's, as well as I do, YouTube is just fucking just wild with how it enforces things. There's no consistency at all.
But it's certainly, it may be true that I think that it's less left versus right and more about institutional bias versus people that are against the institution. For example, you could see left-wingers like Jimmy Dore that would get fucked as well, right? But it's basically those that are criticizing establishment points of views, right? And like, I don't know how you could say like, well, it's not the same as like the example you give in the Jim Crow South. That's literally the exact same sort of foundational concept that we're talking about. We have one person that's like, I want people to shoot at conservatives. I want that. And you're like, there's a sense of whimsy, right? And I'm like, nonetheless,
he's
even if you believe
fantasizing.
that,
He's
you'll
weird how he's allowed to
acknowledge
fantasize.
that people were kicked off. Scores of people were kicked off for far less shit when it came, right? And I'm like, can't you see the double tier? And you're like, well, we're not living in the Jim Crow South, but we're living in a two-tier system. What I'm suggesting to you is that two-tier system, whether it be through a corporation that has so much influence or more importantly through government entities, is unacceptable. It's foundational to sort of our legal system or our sort of idea of what the legal system should be, that we have an equal enforcement of justice. And we can see over and over again that that's not the case. So for you to dismiss it and be like, well, it sounds like their words are upsetting you and you're suggesting that you should be allowed to break concepts because of them is fucking nonsensical.
No, it's not. You're definitely being a sensitive victim.
I'm not.
You're definitely being hyperbolic when you say that the left is the only party of violence.
Did I say that?
Yes.
No. Show me.
Pull your short up.
Okay. The short I just did this morning, I said the left.
You've been looping, yeah.
The left is the only party of violence. That's what this says. That's
something
what
to that effect. That may not be exact phrasing, but yes, that is the sentiment expressed
so
there.
This, you tell me if this. Now I want you. Now what we're gonna do, Dusty, is we'll play a game. If you're right, I apologize. I'll give you the rest of the. I'll give you the rest of the video to talk about whatever you want. If you're wrong, you're banned forever from the channel. Fair deal?
Okay.
All right. Now, Dusty's going to say that
Can you full screen me for a second so that we can look at my shirt, the Proud Boy shirt?
I don't know if I can.
Okay, you can.
I don't know
it's all right.
No, I could do that.
Yeah. I mean, just to act like violence or there's only extremism on one side is obviously.
Okay, now just to be clear, you're going to say this video is going to be saying the left is the only party of violence.
Something to that effect. I'm sure it wasn't those exact words.
This is the one you're talking about, right?
Mm-hmm.
Seeing reports of Tesla buildings being attacked, people that drive Teslas having their cars vandalized. There's other stories of people that are suggesting on places like Reddit that Elon Musk and Donald Trump may need to be taken out. Make no mistake about it. I've said for years, all of the insane violence that we saw coming from the left, from places like Antifa, from way back when you saw them rioting at places like Berkeley to prevent people from going in to hear the terrible Ben Shapiro from speaking, riots that we saw on college campus, them locking Riley Gaines into a room, not letting her go out, other attacks that we saw all across this country during the Black Lives Matter, the Chaz Zone, all of this stuff. The irony was all of this was occurring while the left had institutional power. And I said, if you think this violence is bad now, wait until they start losing those connections to institutional power. Now, they had direct connections in the sense that there were cultural connections, such as the people that were running things were advocating policies and at least paying lip service to the issues that these radical leftists wanted, such as Trans America, Black Lives Matter, etc. But now we're starting to find out that there are connections possibly in the terms of financial connections where we see NGOs that were possibly financing institutions that were leading to these sorts of people that then went on and engaged in different attacks. Oh, I forgot to mention those against pro-life centers. Remember, the FBI couldn't get to those because most of those attacks occurred in the evening. Remember, that's what Chris Wray, head of the FBI, said? I predict that as we see these NGOs start to collapse and the funding dries up and the cultural shift starts going the other way, that these groups will become more desperate. Initially, they won't understand that they can't get away with it with impunity like the majority of the Black Lives Matter riots, and there will actually be consequences if there's any justice in this world. So you're about to see what I would predict would be an uptick in violence that occurs from these left-wing groups. They feel morally righteous. They've been gaslit into believing their opponents are Nazis, and you're justified in doing whatever you want against Nazis. They become more brazen in non-violent attacks, such as going after J.D. Vance when he's walking with his daughter, and violent attacks in the form of vandalism and other things that we see, up to and possibly including things such as assassinations, which we've seen 2 attempts so far against Trump. So gird your loins. We're probably going to see more of these violent reactions from the left, and it'll all be smugly ignored, cheered on, or wink, wink, nudge, nudge from people in positional power in the establishment and on the left. Okay. Did I say there only the left uses violence?
No. And like I said, it's a general sentiment, right? Okay. You have one party at fault here, one radical extreme. Do you think that there's extremists on the right?
Sure. Now, did anything I say in that video, was anything I said inaccurate?
Yeah, I mean the whole presentation. Yes, it was inaccurate.
And what was inaccurate? What specifically? What do you want? Do you want to play it again, and then I'll pause after each statement? You can show me which is inaccurate.
Give me the first part again.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Seeing reports of Tesla buildings being attacked, people that drive Teslas having their cars vandalized. There's other stories of people that are suggesting on places like Reddit that Elon Musk and Donald Trump may need to be taken out. Any of that inaccurate?
No, I hardly see why that's. Hold on.
Okay.
The inaccuracy may be the wrong word. People being kooky, people expressing kooky ideas, that's not a bad thing. Do you agree with that?
No, it could be neutral, right? That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about not just people expressing bad things, but then carrying out actions upon them. For example, there were hundreds of Teslas that were vandalized. There were multiple Tesla factories that were firebombed, right? When the left says, it's okay, we're going to joke around about it and say that that's fine. That is, by definition, political terrorism. The idea is to make you afraid to express a certain political point of view. Now, as someone who's talking about free speech, such as you're doing here, you would think that you have a huge problem with that. You would say, that's outrageous. People, just because of the car they bought, being threatened with violence and intimidation in order to be silenced to not even purchase that car. You would think someone who advocates for free speech would say, you're right, Rob, that's a really big deal. Now, my guess is we could go line by line through this, and you'll say each time, I'll steel man your position. You'll say each time, yeah, you're right. What you said there was accurate. However, I feel that you're giving a false impression, Rob, by not including that the right is doing violent things.
What do you think should be done about people on Reddit that you just mentioned there? What do you think is the right corrective action?
I don't think that... I think I will answer this one question for you. I would say that if they expressly advocate violence or murder of someone, that they should be removed from the platform. You would agree with that, correct?
I would agree with that, yes.
And possibly investigated by law enforcement.
Sure. Anybody who seems that they're actively trying to move forward violence should be, all the things you said.
There's a possibility that Reddit itself, if they're going to unjustly enforce such a slanted view of things, that maybe they should lose their protections under 230, because it's clear that they're not acting as just a posting board where everyone could post. They're acting as a publisher, saying that certain points of view aren't allowed. Right, that would make them more akin to a newspaper editorial. But I don't have strong feelings.
Are you wanting more censorship out of authorities or less censorship?
You tell me. Should more people be censored if they're calling specifically for death? Would you consider that more censorship out of authorities?
We've already agreed on the extreme.
No, we agreed that you said they should be censored. I'm saying, do you think
you're complaining?
Let me finish. These people. Let me finish. Given that it seems that there's an uptick in that sort of rhetoric, if the government did what you wanted, would you consider that more censorship?
What do I want the government to do?
You just said you want the government to go after those people and Reddit to ban those people that are doing those things. So would that be, in your eyes, more censorship?
So
a simple yes, no would suffice.
Well, no, because you're framing the question dishonestly.
You want
to talk about only the very most extreme statements that are calling for more action. You want to ignore all the rest of the mean things, the bad things. Vosh saying, "Oh, I imagine a world where There's a whole lot. There's a whole lot.
No. See, what you're doing here is that you ask me a question and you're trying to frame it as Rob's for more censorship. Yet you yourself just said.
Well, I'm asking if Rob's for more censorship.
Yet you yourself just said I'm for certain amounts of censorship. I'm saying, would it be fair to say if there are people saying this shit on places like Reddit right now that aren't being censored, and you say that they should be, that you yourself are for quote more censorship?
I'm for violence prevention. Specific calls for violence.
No, that's not the question you asked. You didn't ask me like that. You asked a value question of whether or not I would be for, quote, more censorship. Yeah. I'm asking the same question to you, and you're refusing to answer. Given the status quo levels of censorship we see on places like Reddit, if there was more people that were censored because they're calling for violence,
less censorship.
So you want less censorship.
So I want less censorship on the right and the left.
So you think that Reddit is currently censoring too many people?
I don't know what Reddit's doing right now.
Then how could you make a judgment as whether or not there would be more or less censorship under your
Because I do know from the platforms that I do use, right, that there is a lot of... I agree with you. There's too much censorship on the right. And you brought that up several times, which is why I'm asking you, if they reduce censorship on the right, then are you content?
I would be fair if the standards were equal as long as there were things like specific calls to illegality that were still censored. And there's other things that I would want censored, such as pornographic shit. Like I'm okay with the censorship of like gratuitous violence. Like I'm fine with platforms not allowing pictures of people getting their head blown off in a war or something. I think that's fair. It's a social media platform. There's some restrictions that would be too. But other than that, I would want an equal platform where you could come on and question elections or question vaccines. Yes, that's what I want. The left, though, has said, no, that's not what our system is. Our system is that we're allowed to have the government push these social media companies to censor. They achieved that. And now what we see is people like you that were ineffectual, or Bryce said next to fucking nothing, as this was occurring rampantly on the other side, will all of a sudden be like, but now that it seems that the shoe could be on the other foot, we demand that you speak up and say no. Now, I've generously allowed you to interrogate me after this. I asked you specifically, could you say one thing on that video that was inaccurate? Is there one thing you could come up with?
We didn't watch the rest of it. I thought we were going to watch more.
Sure. All right. So we watched the beginning part. You agreed when it came to the Tesla stuff, nothing was inaccurate. Next. No mistake about it. I've said for years, all of the insane violence that we saw coming from the left, from places like Antifa, from way back when you saw them rioting at places like Berkeley to prevent people from going in to hear the terrible Ben Shapiro from speaking. Disagree with that?
Yeah, I disagree with that.
Okay, so they didn't riot at Berkeley to stop people from hearing right-wingers?
Look, the violence, the conflicts that happened between Antifa and Proud Boys was mostly initiated by the right. It was not initiated by the left as much.
That's bullshit. That's
not
just
bullshit.
That's bullshit.
I was fucking there.
I don't care. So you're an Antifa bro. That's what's going on. So I'm talking to an Antifa bro. That's you're with Antifa.
No.
Yes.
I was a Proud Boy.
Oh, okay. So you're a fucking sellout sack of shit.
How's that a sellout sack of shit?
But because now you're saying that it was them at fault. So where did Proud Boys start fighting Antifa?
I don't know. I don't know.
You don't know.
Where did I start from?
How would I know more about it than you? You were a Proud Boy.
Well, you're really scared of it. You're
scared of
shook
what?
up about this, about the left violence. I'm telling you, you don't need to worry about the left being violent. The Proud Boys, we went out there. I participated.
Oh, you did? So you're going to tell us that you committed acts of violence, illegalities right here? Go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay. And so
we went out. We fought.
Where were you at?
I went to DC in December.
You went to this December?
No, December 2020.
December 2020. Okay, so when the Proud
the month before January.
Okay, so when the Proud Boys started, when to my understanding it started sort of around Portland, when you saw Patriot Prayer that was being attacked by Antifa over and over again in the local law enforcement. So the Proud Boys got pissed off and said, "We're going to go there and we're going to fight back." Right? That's how it got its start.
I'm not saying it wasn't justified. What I'm saying is
you said that the right started it, not the left. That's what you just said.
I'm only speaking to my experiences, Rob. I'm not speaking to every conflict that you can think of.
No.
I'm speaking
That's
to my
not
experiences.
what you did. You didn't just speak to your experience. You said, no, when it came to Antifa, the violence started on the right. You didn't say in my little anecdotal story.
The harassment started on the left.
No, not just harassment. So I just want to be clear. prior to the Proud Boys,
Mhm.
Antifa never engaged in acts of violence. It was just harassment.
We're splitting hairs here.
No, we're not splitting hairs.
We're splitting
Your
hairs.
argument is Antifa was nonviolent, then the right came in and started violence.
No, that's not my argument at all. Antifa is violent. Antifa is violent.
Okay, did they
But
predate Proud Boys?
when you present it as if this was a one-sided thing, as if Antifa's the one out here doing all this violence and poor right-wingers were just being victims of the thing, that's not how it was.
Again, where did I say anything that was inaccurate? What you're doing is saying, oh, well, you're leaving out that the right was violent too. Nothing I said there was inaccurate.
You are presenting an inaccurate picture of
I am not
of the political violence landscape.
So, for example, I talked there about Berkeley. Can you show me one example ever of right-wingers rioting to prevent a left-wing speaker from a college campus in the last 30 years?
No.
Can you show me one example of them doing?
It doesn't
things
mean
like
that they're not there. It means that I'm not prepared. I didn't do research for this.
Can you show me? Can you show me one example of left-wing speakers being harassed, by fire alarms being pulled, locked into rooms, etc., like from right-wing groups?
No. Again, not that it hasn't happened.
But what do you mean?
I haven't done research for this conversation.
Will you acknowledge that there are dozens upon dozens of those examples from the left?
Sure.
Okay, surely then you'd be able to recall one example of the other side if you're saying that it's a both sides issue.
I'm sure it is. I don't listen to left-wing speakers.
Can you show me any city in this country where right-wingers routinely attack federal law enforcement?
No, but let me keep that thought to myself. Federal law enforcement.
How about this?
The guys in black masks that are rushing into buildings. Like,
you don't like those
Gestapo.
people, do you?
I don't like cops. No.
Right.
And I really don't like federal cops that, criminals wear face masks. Criminals have to hide themselves. What are cops doing hiding themselves?
Okay, so you acknowledge that criminal are Antifa.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, so they should all be rounded up and arrested.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Okay, the reason that they're wearing masks is because left-wingers are going to houses like Brett Kavanaugh's and trying to assassinate them. They're showing up to people's houses to go after them. They're trying to kill ICE officers right now. We just saw it in Dallas. So they wear masks because they know that if their identities are out there, that these violent left-wingers will show up and threaten them and their families for doing their job. That's why they're wearing masks.
Well, they might not be cut out for a dangerous, violent job then.
That could be. Not like you, who was a Proud Boy that's now talking shit on him, right?
Oh, I'll talk shit on cops all day long.
No, you're talking shit in the Proud Boys.
Oh yeah. And on Antifa. Everybody gets it equally. In hindsight, I think that both sides were honeypots.
So did you point out anything that I said that was inaccurate? Was I inaccurate about the left-wing violence in places like Berkeley from people like Antifa? You said you thought I was being inaccurate.
You're presenting an inaccurate portrayal.
I'm not. I just asked you to. If that's the case,
you really want to force me to find a specific, particular thing that is inaccurate. What I'm saying is, it's not. It's the whole presentation. You have a 60-second or however long that is bundle of sentiment that you're putting out.
So it's not. So the specific things I'm saying are accurate, but it's a sin of omission. I'm not talking about other things that occurred.
It is selective attention, yes. Selective reporting.
Selective attention, okay. But you can't give one example so far of the issues I've talked about on the other side.
No, I can't give one issue on either side.
You can't give an example of left-wingers harassing, intimidating, using violence on the left to the right?
Sure. I can't.
Well, Dusty, here's what we're gonna do, right? Like, you said that video said that I said that only the left commits violence. You now acknowledge that was wrong. Our deal was that that would mean that you would be kicked off my show in perpetuity. I gave you a chance to then talk about specific inaccuracies that would have in the video. You're incapable of doing it, and you just literally went to but both sides do things, and so you need to acknowledge that both sides do it. Would you acknowledge, by the way,
I just think you don't need to freak out so much.
Would you acknowledge that just because both sides could do something, that doesn't mean that there's a proportional equivalency?
Yes.
Okay. Do you think that proportionally the right and the left in these forms of violence are committing equal amounts?
I think that the left is initiating more of it, and I think that the right is definitely better at it.
The right's better at the violence. Give me examples.
Proud Boys stomped the shit out of Antifa every time.
Okay, so when it came to mutual combat between Proud Boys and Antifa, by the way, I'll acknowledge, and I've said many times on this show, just because Proud Boys sort of formed, well, they formed as a joke, but just because they showed up and started fighting with Antifa because Antifa was beating up innocent people doesn't mean that in each specific example that the Proud Boys were defending. Many times they went out and were aggressing, and they should be arrested for that. If you intentionally go out to an event saying, I'm looking for a left-winger to beat their ass, and yet almost every one of these instances, though, were at right-wing rallies, right? Rarely did you see Proud Boys showing up to like a Hillary Clinton rally or a Kamala Harris or a Joe Biden rally. It was always the opposite way. Lefties would come to Republican rallies, and then right-wingers would push back against them. Nonetheless, that doesn't mean in individual examples. That alone should tell you something. The left could freely.
The left is more antagonistic. The left initiates.
So the left can freely have whatever political rally they want, whatever speaker they want. There's never an issue.
Didn't Destiny just have some issues?
He had people yelling.
I don't know. I didn't watch it because I don't watch Destiny.
I mean, the guy said
that
Republicans should fear for their lives and mock Charlie Kirk, then went out and did a cheap imitation of what Charlie Kirk was doing. And you're now giving Destiny the exact reaction he wanted. Yeah, but people yelled mean words at him, so equal.
I didn't watch it. I'm not a Destiny fanboy. So I'm asking you, did Destiny encounter some adversarial audience member?
Adversarial opinions is different than violence. I didn't see any violence that he encountered. His security was not so erudite.
Was he
That lets you know the level of violence that he was encountering.
Yeah. I just really am not I don't think that either side is actually engaged in any level of violence that really needs to be panicked about. I think it's all manageable.
I think that you waffle between saying like, well, I'm not informed, but then you make declarative statements. I think that you made a declarative statement that I said that only one side is violent. That's not. Almost every time I talk about violence on the channel, I talk about the difference between radical extremists on any side that are willing to do something. I've defended people like Vosh and Destiny in the past when left-wingers have done things. I have criticized them, particularly Vosh, when he talks about the concept of stochastic terrorism and how right-wingers are responsible for their rhetoric when people engage in acts of violence. So I said if he was to be held by the same standard that he seeks to hold right-wingers like Tucker Carlson to, then when people are out there shooting people talking about transgenocide, then he would be held to that standard. However, I don't blame streamers for those sorts of things. I do think that there is a role that we should have as people that have a public voice to speak to people and say that there's hope beyond using acts of violence, even if we're talking about serious things, something that I do quite frequently on my channel. But to act like that there's an equivalency between right and left wing, or that the violence that we see coming from the left, and more importantly, the fact that it's being celebrated, ignored, cheered on, etc., by mainstream voices in the left, to the point where 55% of Democrats say that could somewhat justify the murder of Donald Trump. I think that is an issue worth talking about. I think that you have been uninformed. You've came on here saying that I said things that I didn't say, and then you wanted to change the subject and you wanted to go to the, yeah, but both sides do it. I find it to be intellectually dishonest and non-stimulating. Last word for you?
Salute. Nope. I'll let it in there.
Ugh. I always love well, I don't really know much. I don't really know. I didn't look into this, but let me make my declarative statement. Billions of dollars of damage, Black Lives Matter rallies, etc. It's not that bad. What are you talking about? Anyways, did I miss any super chats? Free! Thank you so much for the 10 gifted memberships. And then becomes a member himself. Thank you. Really appreciate it. Another $10 from Free says they always get butthurt. It's sort of a guilty reaction. Yep. Drew the Dog Man, $2 says I'm on the Discord because I don't like StreamYard. Oh. Okay. Well, I probably won't be getting to you then. I'm sorry, Drew. I assume you mean to call in. I have enough callers. We'll see if we have time. But I got about, I guess, an hour and a half left. We'll see. Maybe we'll get to you. Free, $10 says this guy's way too high for this comment. You think Dusty was high? Maybe. All right. And then Johnny Blaze, $3. Thanks so much. I have no time of day for these people. Oh, it's not really. I mean, even with the censorship shit, he would have been the same dude if I was complaining about the censorship 3 years ago. It's not that bad. It's always not that bad when it's happening to you. Go figure. He doesn't think the violence is that bad. I don't like cops. All right. Bandit, you're up next. Ready to go? Bandit, Guam Tech, Rack Mangoes, and then Grid. So keep getting those donos in, trying to get to a goal of $714 tonight. Why? I don't know, because I'm greedy and I didn't stream much. So keep getting those donos in. I will be streaming tonight at 9 p.m. as well. Adam King, thank you so much for the $5. Really appreciate it, man. I'll be streaming tonight at 9 p.m. as well, starting a debate. All right, Bandit. What's happening?
What's going on from a fellow Pennsylvanian? What's going on?
Loving it. Love this state. I was outside of the state and felt super awkward. I'm a Pennsylvanian through and through, so good to be home.
Yeah, damn right. Couple of things. That last guy, disingenuous. So I'm glad you got rid of him. That was
I've dealt with Dusty before, and he's interesting to have conversations with on some things, but like when his central attack to me, he's like, well, you say that only your side or only the other side's violent. That's bullshit. I've never said that. He knew it. I knew it. All of you knew it. And yet we have to jump through the hoops. And it's like, well, I intuit that what you meant was fuck you. I don't have the time of day for that stuff.
Yeah. So a couple of things. I know you wanted to talk about balkanization. I agree. Especially living close to Philly, like I see it. If the voters are asking for not prosecuting, and then say you have a business and you don't live within the county, you have no voting rights. Why the hell would you? Why the hell would you have a business there? And that's basically explains why everything needs to just let the cities burn. Because the thing is, you just put a big fence around them and let the purge happen. There's nothing you can do because their own citizens are voting for it. I don't feel sorry for them anymore. It's just, it is what it is.
Yeah, it's not like that. Listen, I'm willing to be proven wrong, right? Particularly like take an economic idea. Let's say that, Democrats are like, we want to tax people at 80%, and I'm like, I think that's a terrible idea. But if it happens,
that's
right?
a horrible idea. But yeah.
It's a terrible idea. But if it happens and somehow it ended up working out, I'd be like, okay, right? So my argument's like, fine. If they want to try that in their little area, do it. If that's what Philly wants to do, or if that's what New York wants to do, fine. And then I don't want to hear if they're right, they're right. I'm not wishing upon them anything grotesque. I'm just saying I disagree with you. I think that's going to be terrible. And I think that's what you're saying here. Fine.
Dude,
then just get out of the city and let them go. Maybe we're not saying like, when we're saying that the cities will collapse, we're not saying that we're going to do something to actively make it happen. We're just saying we predict their policies are so horrible that that's what will happen. So we don't want part of it. Good luck to you.
Well, I have one caveat though. If you voted for that stuff, you have to stay in the city. You can't just pass the views and everything else to the suburbs and then to other states. That's the problem. Like, if you're going to have those bad views and destroy everything that you think is, everything that you stand for just because, that's how I need to sacrifice myself to the democratic gods in that sense, then you can't at the same time go over and say, the suburbs have to bail me out. The rural areas have to bail me out. Like, I'm done with this crap. You need to have some accountability for your actions. And that's what's frustrating because the rural areas and the suburbs are bailing out these cities all the freaking time. And then the cities are like, oh, we sell everything. So guess what? We just can take. Or you have like LA's taking all the water from like Colorado. Like if you're a Colorado citizen, you would be floored that your rivers and everything else is going to LA.
Yeah,
that's the stuff I can't.
Now, I know that the counter argument is, well, but when you look at taxes and where the money goes, more goes into red areas from blue than blue to red. Look, all I have to say about the whole situation is that, like, I don't know what to say other than I'm not like the left. I'm not going to sit here and cheer for violence. I'm not saying that they should be mass censored or anything like that. I'm just saying that culturally we need to shame them and say we don't want part of this anymore. We don't want it. And, Avarice called on the other day and we talked about something important. It's vote with your dollars, right? If you think that a certain company did something, this Ghost of Yote game that's coming out looks like a good game. I don't know shit about it. But, one of the lead developers was celebrating the murder of Charlie Kirk. Don't buy that fucking game. Stay away from these people as much as possible. Don't go to your friend's new girlfriend's going to sit there and, Charlie Kirk deserved to die while you're out at lunch. Tell her to fuck off and leave.
That's the part I don't understand. Like, I mean, if you know anything about business, and I'm pretty sure you do, why would you alienate 50% of the population? Like, you being like a high person in a company should just get off social media. Like, I don't understand. Like, these people are idiots. Like,
Well, and
it's
Michael
insane.
Jordan had this idea years ago when they asked him about politics, and he was like, "Republicans buy shoes too." Like that's the idea when you're a business, right? Like
Yeah.
I don't understand. Like, and now look, increasingly because of the left, I blame them. Groups had to get involved. Silence is violence, after all. So they would pressure these companies. Hey, you got to speak up for our cause. Do things for our cause. Donate money to our cause. And that went on for years. And then what was the right? If they got upset with something, they'd just go, oh, and that was it. If you pissed the left off, they'd go after your advertisers. They'd smear you in, national publications. Now the right's like, we'll play that game too. So I
That's
can
the
imagine
thing.
it would be difficult to be like one of these ad execs, at one of these major companies, and it's like, well, fuck, we have to jump through these hoops because we don't want to piss off either side. And the best thing you can do is just be like, we're just gonna stay out of politics as best as possible. We're not gonna fund anything that's remotely political. Like, dude, when we're talking about charitable shit, soup kitchen, there you go.
Yeah.
We're not going to be sending money to people in Palestine. We're not going to be sending money to this Israeli group. It's just like, nope.
Nope. That
We're
takes
just
away from
gonna.
my mission. My mission is to feed people in a soup
And
kitchen. Like,
I think that it's sad to say. Now, look, I've been involved in the slightest way in this. When I was offered a job with the Trump campaign in 2020, super small level job, just running things in the county. Right? Basically just putting up yard signs, knocking on doors and shit like that. But I was offered a job, and part of the condition of that job was I had to get rid of my social media. Now I understand why, right?
Yeah.
Because if I'm an official employee of the Trump campaign and all of a sudden I'm like dropping hard R words, like that's not good. That looks really bad for the Trump campaign. So it's like, dude, you can't post shit on social media until the election's over. I said no. That was something I was unwilling to do. But at this point, if I was like a major gaming company, I might be like whatever, any major company, part of the condition of employment might be like, yeah, no social media, just none. You're not allowed. You're not allowed to post on any. I don't give a shit if it's pictures of you and your family on vacation. Nope, nothing, because we can't trust people anymore.
Agreed.
And now people will go behind the scenes. They'll create alt accounts and shit like that. But at least
Well,
then
that's
as a
terms of
company, you
firing.
could be like, hey, we didn't have shit to do with that.
Well, that's terms of firing. That's
Well,
not
right,
well
it would
stated.
be. Yeah.
So,
I agree.
you want to play that game, that's fine. And the whole thing with this whole crap that's going on between the different states, eventually, like right now, I didn't know if you're aware of it. Tim Pool just had a video saying that Texas National Guard is now deployed to Illinois for crime, and the governor's saying that this is a declaration of war. This is going to go to the Supreme Court. It has to, and whatever they want to, I mean, it's going to be real hard because all Texas is going to have to say now, and Texas has been wanting to say this about Pennsylvania, is your laws change the way voting rights for the whole entire country because of the way for national elections. I have a say now. Like the changing of Pennsylvania's voter-based system got us to where we are today.
Yeah, and Republicans in the state house are largely responsible.
Agreed.
What was it? Act. I forget the name of it. Act 77 or something like that.
Yeah,
and it was basically, for those who don't know, what happened in Pennsylvania was we had this act that basically allowed mass mail-in voting. And so you're like, well, what'd the Republicans get? Because surely they could see. I shit you not. I'm going to screw this up. It's something as nonsensical as this. They got like straight ticket voting, I think is what they wanted. So if you just click at the top of the screen, Republican, the whole way down ticket, bam. So that was the compromise. Democrats get mail-in voting. Republicans get straight ticket voting, right? How do you think that worked out? Well, it massively benefited Democrats. And then I personally know people that were in the House that voted for this shit. I think it was Act 77 is the name of it. That are now furious. We can't believe we were duped. No fucking shit.
Well,
and now they're pointing the finger at Democrats, and it's like, you dumbass. You're the people that let this happen.
Well, the other thing that, I mean, I know this is probably boring the audience, and I'll get off it because no one cares about Pennsylvania politics, but the Amish, Biden screwed over the Amish, and every single person in Lancaster County has voted now. And you have to understand, Pennsylvania, 30% of the population is Amish. So at this point, Pennsylvania is going to be a hard red state. Hard red.
Well, if things are on the up and up, yeah,
Well,
but
they are
it
because-
is looking more and more like, what's sad is we're going to lose these elections coming up in November here. And I need to
I
start
know.
doing more because for those that don't understand, you're like, it's an off year election. There's no senators up for election. There's no congressman. There's no president. True. But there are judges that are up, and there is a measure on the ballot as to retain judges for an additional 10 years. This would basically mean that the Pennsylvania Supreme Court would be, I believe it's a 5-2 Democrat majority right now. And that would be until 2035. But you can't motivate Republicans. Even if it's a deep red state, you can't motivate them to get out there on these off years. And it's like, look, the motivation needs to be, hey, did you see what happened to Charlie Kirk? Did you see what happened to Irina? A felon that was left out 30-something times. That's what these judges are doing. That's what they're doing. Scott Pressler actually pointed out that these justices are the ones that voted to allow Bill Cosby out of prison, which is kind of
not wrong.
That is, so it is important to get out there and vote. But Bandit, I'm going to have to let you go. I got some other people to get to.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to be done by
can I
2
just say
o'clock.
one more thing.
Sure.
Your debate tonight. Floyd's dead. Destiny's still alive.
Yeah,
There's the problem.
The argument has to be from the other side that the death of Floyd and the surrounding of that is worse than what we see with Destiny and surrounding him.
I don't know.
But as
Destiny-
people, like,
Destiny's
I
more
have a
feminist.
hard time blaming George Floyd for riots, George Floyd the person, when he was dead when they were occurring. You know what I mean? Like,
But
sure, it represented something that people then used as an excuse, but it's not like George Floyd himself was telling people and motivating people, like, go riot. Like, he was dead.
But the only difference is George Floyd actually made a lot of people that were Democratic black people into Republican black people. So
right.
So there's that too. But I'll let you go. Good luck tonight.
All right. Hey, appreciate it. Thanks so much, Bandit. Fellow Pennsylvania there. Thanks so much. All right. Keep getting those super chats in. I'm going to be done at 2 o'clock. I got a call, so I got some business stuff to deal with at 2 o'clock. So that gives us 1 hour left in the show. I have to go to the restroom again because I have an old man bladder, plus my jug is depleted. So I give you the Hasan Cam. Go ahead, Chair. I need to get a graphic up for the Hasan Cam. Oh, here. I know what I do have this. We can do this. There. I'll be right back. All right, Chair, you've had your opportunity. Go away. Damn chair. All right. Did I miss any super chats? Wicked Wally, member for 7 months, says fiance is becoming a big Rob fan. Oh, by the way, you have a smart fiance. Our good friend Nate, how long Nate? $10 says, hey folks, keep it rolling. 100 ninjas need to hit the like. Oh, the hiding ninjas. We're gonna do good. We're gonna get to our goal. 714. Lord of the Nerds, $5 says, who knew that sending the National Guard in for the Little Rock Nine was fascism? Shocked to see the modern liberals come out against desegregation, right? And then our good friend Nate again for $10 says, hey Chair, good point there. The number of fraudulent CDLs handed out by blue states is allowing brokers and trucking companies to abuse legitimate drivers. Yeah, it's crazy how like truck drivers I know are fucking, you'd be surprised how in tune they are politically. It really is crazy. Let me check. I got a couple messages here. My wife messaging me. Okay. And if you must know what's going on, this is the most boring shit in the world, but I recently shifted insurances because I was still technically an employee up until last month of my old job, so I was still on that insurance. So I transitioned to a new insurance. And so today was the day that it was like, okay, can I have the same doctor, my prescriptions, blah, 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 same pharmacy. But I think I got it all sorted out. So, all right. Guam Tech next. You ready, bud? All right. We're good. What's up, Guam Tech? How you doing?
What's good, man?
I'm having a great day. I hope you are too.
Yes, sir. Yep. Actually, in the middle of my workday right now, but had a little bit of time for a break just to put it towards Rob.
I appreciate it, man. Hopefully you're here to yell at me, probably.
No, definitely not. More so just wanting to get your thoughts because obviously left-wing, right-wing violence. I wanted to bring up something to you that I saw recently. It was from a YouTuber. What was it? I think his name's Matt Christensen. He did a great video about 2 days ago on basically how all of the conversation about right-wing violence being the problem and being a lot more than left-wing violence is all bullshit. And I kind of wanted to get your thoughts on it, where maybe you might be kind of tracking some of your stats on some of that to be able to prove that wrong. A little bit on my side of things, I made a decision after, Charlie Kirk got murdered that I'm not going to allow people to say stupid shit anymore and just let them get away with it. I used to be, hey, live and let live. You can think what you think. I think what I think, what have you. But now I've realized that's just perpetuating exactly why we see the ridiculous, retarded shit going on social media from regular, everyday people. So I'm trying to figure out how do I at least circumvent that conversation as far as left-wing versus right-wing violence.
The problem with statistics is this, right? Like, so I can't tell you a specific place that I'm getting statistics like that. Most of it's anecdotal, but here's the problem. If you go through any of these studies, this is the first thing that you should do. If you see statistics or studies, think of an event that you know for sure. Like, I'll give you an example. When COVID was hitting and we were talking about COVID deaths, right? One of the first things I did was I called coroners around here, not just me, but sort of some people connected to me. And we got one on the show. Now, his particular county had registered at this point, this is early into COVID, had registered something like 17 COVID deaths. So I asked him, how many COVID deaths? He said, 0. I said, what? He calls around and starts talking to some other corners. 0, 0, 1, 2. And yet on the official list. So what happened? Well, Josh Shapiro, or I'm sorry, not Shapiro at the time, Tom Wolfe at the time, was like, sorry, we have to revise our numbers. And they revised the numbers down like 20-something%. Again, this was early during the pandemic. But the lesson learned is take something that you know and then see whether or not the data that you're looking at matches that. So for me, when I hear all of these examples, the big study years ago when I was debating this was the CSIS study. And this all comes from like two groups. There's like the innocent, I can't remember the names of these projects, but the CSIS was coming from that, and it talked about how they defined, it was measuring political terrorism, domestic terrorism, right? And it gave a definition, and it was something, obviously this isn't verbatim, but it was something to the effect of using violence or intimidation from non-state actors to achieve a political goal, right? Okay, right? That, fair enough, fine, we could go with that. And so I'm like, can I think of any instances like recently where there was a lot of violence or intimidation to achieve like political or cultural goals? I think it's it. Well, Black Lives Matter, right? That's to the T what they were doing, right? They were unhappy with policing and what they saw systemic racism in police. So they burned down police precinct and they had all these attacks. Would it shock you to know that not one instance was on that study? And there was a little asterisk, and when you went to the bottom at that version of it, it's gone now. I've since looked it up. But that version of it, it was like, we don't include the Black Lives Matter riots or any of the events because it's like, basically because it's complicated. And you could do this with a bunch of other things. I saw Steven Crowder debating this the other day, and he was talking about Michael Reinhold, who was this Antifa member that shot and killed a Patriot Prayer member and was like, I got one of them, right? That's what he said, right? Bragged about it. That's not listed as left-wing violence. The original FBI metric of the person who shot Steve Scalise was then killed was suicide by cop. That was not considered political violence. So what you do is you look at events that you know and you see whether or not they match up with the data set that you're looking at. I don't know where to look. Who's keeping data on left-wing versus right-wing violence? There's really no one that's doing it without an axe to grind. And so the best thing you could do is just say, listen, just look at what you see. It's not just about, another thing is, it only registers if people are arrested. So let's say, hypothetically, that I'm a crooked cop. And I'm like, you know what? If left-wingers commit violence, I won't arrest them. Well, guess what happens on the data set? 0 lacks of left-wing violence. It doesn't matter that you could watch the video and go, I just watched Antifa beat the shit out of all these people. Yeah, but we didn't arrest any of them. So it doesn't count. It doesn't count as left-wing violence. And so all you have to do is ask people, it's so annoying at this point. It's the same as this shit, like, yeah, I don't think we should allow 2-year-olds to vote. Source! Where's your source at, sir? And it's like, at some point, you just got to be like, fuck you. Like, we know what's going on. That,
really,
like I was doing with that.
Mostly, I'm really just trying to find like good examples to be able to provide for people who are at least willing to listen. Now, I'm pretty sure I'm not going to change a lot of the lefty friends' minds that I have right now, but anybody who's listening, I feel like I might be able to at least give them something to where that I can see doubt.
Here's some areas that I would go with, right? You could talk about Charlie Kirk and the cheering afterwards and say, have you ever seen that in the opposite way? I haven't, right? Where a left-winger was shot. And they might bring up, what was her name? Melissa Horton. Wasn't really killed by a right-winger. We can't tell. But even if she was, were people like, yay? No, that didn't exist, right? Then you might say, look, it's not just about murder. It's about other acts of violence and intimidation. Can you name me, like I asked Dusty, can you give me one example of right-wingers engaging in violence or rioting to keep a left-winger off campus? I'm sure there's one out there that exists, but this is quite common. I can show you dozens upon dozens of examples of everyone from Douglas Murray, of Gavin McInnes, of Caitlin Bennett, of Riley Gaines, of Christina Hoff Sommers, who's like calls herself the factual feminist, right? And all of this shit happening over at Milo Yiannopoulos, right? Like this happens all the time. Who on the left's dealing with it? Or then you might go this way. Like, can you think of a time where it was cheered on, where we saw a left-wing product or something that seemed like a left-wing product where people were vandalizing, abusing and stuff to the point where it was laughed about in mainstream, like what happened with Tesla? I can't think of an example. Or how about you look at something like Luigi Mangione, who shoots the United Healthcare CEO, cheered on by large swaths of the left, unabashedly, right? And the list goes on and on. And possibly the easiest thing to do is just be like, Black Lives Matter. And like, look, there was a reason in 2020 businesses were boarding up their business. It wasn't that they were afraid that Trump supporters would flip out if Trump lost. It was because they knew what would happen, just like in 2016.
Yeah.
It was billions of dollars of damage. It was hundreds upon hundreds of incidents of left-wing violence at these protests, etc. Now, if you're trying to reach people in the center, I think you want to be clear. This doesn't mean that everyone that was in Black Lives Matter did something violent. It doesn't mean that everyone that's a lefty is violent. I'm not suggesting that. The problem is there are a small portion of them that will engage in violence, and there's a huge portion of the left then that will say, well, I personally wouldn't do that, but then they'll make excuses for it. And this is what you saw with the death of Charlie Kirk. Imagine that a prominent left-wing politician or activist would have been shot, and the New York Times within a day putting up an article, it's like, basically he's a Nazi. And then having to retract it the next day and go, well, although Kirk did say those anti-Semitic things, he was quoting someone else and then arguing against them. It's insane. And it's not just acts of violence. It's also acts of intimidation, right? It's the doxing. It's the swatting of people like Tim Pool that happens massively. It's the fact that we've known for years that if you're in certain industries and you come out as a conservative, it's a death knell, like the entertainment industry, the academic industry, etc. Like, we are at a place in time where the left has gaslit themselves into thinking they're so morally superior to their opponents that anything's on the table. And that doesn't mean that your friend that's a lefty is going to be like, yeah, I think I should be allowed to punch you in the face. What it does mean is your friend that's the lefty, if there was a guy just like you that they didn't know that got punched in the face, they'd go, Should have been on college campus. Don't you know? Don't be a Nazi.
And I'm also like in a space where I'm thinking more about like the fact that I'm not trying to convince them, right? I'm trying to make sure that any other onlookers or people who are hearing can again seed the doubt there, so that way they at least have something else to go off of. So for instance, I'll give you an example. The Tylenol autism debate happening, right? I have a family member that we're having a good time, and I can't remember exactly how the conversation came up, but that conversation was had about Tylenol and autism. And immediately the family member comes in and says, well, there's no scientific data whatsoever to prove that's even linking, blah, 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 what have you. To which I let it go for a second, but about 30 seconds later, I'm like, hey, actually, you do realize that as far as scientific data goes, it may not be conclusive, but it is coming from MIT, Harvard, and Johns Hopkins University for the studies that they're going off of to see if this does have some kind of link to this. And the best that she could come up with was, well, we just, I guess, can't go off of half truths on anything, I guess. But I saw everybody else around that table sitting there just thinking.
Those
Whereas
things are.
I didn't say something like that. They probably just would have taken that and just ran with it. And like, well, it was in the headlines I see. She's seeing it and she's saying it. So obviously that must be the case. And that's something I think that more MAGA people need to think about, is not necessarily disproving everything that a lefty says, but saying enough to seed doubt on the people who are listening from a more centrist position.
Yeah, it's very much, I think it's one of the silver linings of COVID, because I think prior to COVID, so many people just trusted voices of authority, right? And so if they told you, like, they could come out and tell you, like, oh, you know, there's nothing wrong with corn syrup. Go ahead, eat shit with corn syrup. And then, like, you know, years later, you're like, well, wait a minute. The isolated voices were like, wait, this might be very unhealthy for you. Turns out they were right. But the corn lobby was paying a shitload of money to put out a bunch of studies. And so it is what it is, right? I think that what COVID did was people started to see with their own eyes how full of shit some of these places were, right? That it's not when Dr. Fauci's out there and he's like, you can't attack me because that's attacking science. And it's like, wait, what? And like you saw, you know, thousands of scientists say, well, you have to stay isolated because this is so bad. Unless you're fighting racism, then go for it. That's more important. And people are like, huh? And I think that was one of the silver linings. And it's not just with scientific data. It's also with data that we see, like sort of all sorts of things, law enforcement data and other things. Like just, I was going to bring it up today. I didn't. More Washington Post, the Washington Post of all places, put out an article. More people in trouble in DC in the law enforcement because they were hiding crimes. And so the problem is, it's like, there is what we need to tell people is, it's not true that you just say, we don't trust anybody in a position of authority anymore. That's not what I'm suggesting. But you should have healthy skepticism. You should have healthy skepticism of me. You should have healthy skepticism of anyone. And just because the CDC says X, you should say, okay, let me look into that and see to the best of my ability. It doesn't mean that we're just like, whatever the CDC says is 100% wrong. No, it's just, well, we need to validate what they're saying. So like with these crime statistics, like you just have to let people know, like, does this add up? When you look at this, does it add up? When you saw all those left-wing riots, does it add up to you that the data that they're citing shows that there was only like 2 instances of left-wing violence in 2020? And you saw those riots, right? Yeah. Or when you saw those people celebrating the murder of Charlie Kirk, right? And then they come out and they're like, oh, no, it's actually the big problem is right-wing violence. When our institutions were controlled by people that were seeking out right-wing violence, and they were finding, even if they had to shoehorn in shit, right-wing violence, and then the leaders of the FBI are saying things like this, well, Antifa's just an idea. You know, it's like, and furthermore, then I'm going to do a debate in this soon. I think October 28th, I got a debate coming up on this. How do you even define left and right wing? Right? Like, so for example, I'm white. They include acts of racial violence in prison from white supremacist gangs as right-wing violence. Yep. But what if a black supremacist gang did something? Is that also right-wing violence? Well, they just don't include it. But hypothetically, if you're going to say that white nationalism's right-wing, why wouldn't black nationalism be right-wing? Right? Islamic violence theoretically could be considered, it's violence in the name of religion, right-wing violence, right? So they play fast and loose with how they categorize this shit anyways, but we all know the truth. And it's one of the things that's so frustrating in our world today. Like, I think I'm a pretty good debater, but even I get frustrated with it. And I don't want to deal with it anymore, right? And so you can imagine someone who doesn't fancy themselves a debater. Like, there are so many things that we just know are true. Like, we know that men have a biological competitive advantage in most physical sports. We know that. And yet these fucking people, you know how many times I've debated them? Prove it. Let's see the studies, because I got a study that says no. It's like, what the fuck are you talking about? We all know that to be true. I shouldn't have to go through you know that's true. Well, I know one woman that could kick your ass. Yes, of course. What we're talking about is at the averages. And more importantly, when we're talking about professional athletics, we're talking about at the top. So like the top 5% of women could probably whoop my ass in tennis. They can't hold a candle to the top 5% of men. We all know it. But I have to come up with data to suggest that. And it's absurd. And there's other things, right? Like, we have to pretend that, like, if I'm white and someone's black and we're equally qualified for a job for like a CEO position in a Fortune 500 company, that I have a massive advantage for being white. We know that's bullshit. Yep. We know that these companies would much rather be able to say, look how diverse we are. That's why people like Elizabeth Warren are pretending to be Indians, and you don't have Indian people pretending to be white. Because we know where those benefits lie. And yet we have, well, this study. And so then it's up to someone like me to go through this study. Yeah, what the study did was it said, let's take white names like Jim, and then let's take black names like Shaniqua, some crazy fucking name. But what if you did it the opposite way? What if the white name was Bubba, right? And the black name was Alex. I know a black guy named Alex, so could we say, oh, look, Bubba got discriminated. That shows white people got discriminated? Of course not. You would say, look, there probably is something that if you got a really fucked up name that people just maybe assume like, I don't want to deal with, like, I don't know. Nonetheless, you see the point I'm trying to make where it's like everything, you're right to be like, I think the point that you make that's salient is that we need to keep having these conversations because it's important. Not that you're convincing the person you're talking to, but the people that are watching. So for me, a platform like this, there might be a bunch of people in an audience that haven't made up their mind. And so you do have to come up with ways. But what I'm suggesting is until we see someone, it's a matter of getting into academia. Until we see large money being put behind studies that say, nope, this is what the data actually says. I mean, I could go through the data set that, and people have done this, the data set on left-wing and right-wing violence that the left's using that's bullshit, and I could try to recategorize, but the problem there is going to be the sin of omission. How many crimes did they just leave out?
And
so,
and
for
not
example,
only that, like just your everyday people, they don't want to look into studies. They don't want to look into the data. So I think it's more about helping them at least engage their logic. Stop relying on the headlines and start at least putting some things together and be able to come to a better conclusion than just, well, the news said it, right?
Who do you think? So if you see, you're driving to work, you see a bunch of people blocking your car. They're chanting something. What do you think they are, right wing or left wing?
Most likely left wing.
Right. They're probably climate change or some shit like that, right? Now, you might think, well, that's a perfectly legitimate form of protest. I happen to disagree, but even if you thought that, we know that. We don't need a study to tell us that. We don't. Actually, 57% of the people doing this are right wing. And then you're like, well, how could that be? Like, what? What are the causes? And then you look and it's like,
you have to ask what kind of protest, what exactly is
right.
happening?
And then the way they define terms will be so fucked up. You're like, oh, you're considering climate protests right wing. So of course, then yes, I guess then you would say, right. But you shouldn't. There are so many people that would then just cite that study. Well, here Rob, you go.
They're trying to conserve the environment.
Right. Exactly.
I mean, come on.
Actually, when you look like it's totally true. The best environmentalists I know are conservatives, right? Because they're like hunters that are like, we want to keep, the outdoors pristine, but so yeah, I get where you're coming from. I got to let you go.
No problem.
My poor eyesight.
But I just want to say one last thing before I go. Came from the Indian Jesus crew. Just want to say, I still think that you guys would have a great conversation on MAGA atheists. So definitely
MAGA atheists. I would be Indian Jesus. I'll try to contact them. I would love to.
Perfect. Awesome, man. Love your
thanks
stuff.
so much, Guam Tech.
Keep killing it.
All right. Appreciate it. Thank you so much. All right. Hold on, Nate. $10 says, hey, chair. Good point. Oh, we already read this one. This is what I wanted. Wicked Wally. $5 says, I hear there's a verbal martial art that combines coding and debate. I call it Coder Kai. Remember, cry first, cry hard. No logic. Sweep the keyboard, baby. How long, Nate? $5 says, I hear Spiro's voice dropped a 1/3 step after last week's closing show. Bobby C, $5 says, Matt Christensen does very good work. Thank you, Bobby. Yeah, I wrote it down. How long, Nate? Another 5 says, can't throw too much today. Rolling out of SLC for the new job in Lincoln tomorrow morning. Congratulations, Nate. And then gifts 5 memberships. Good luck on the new job, man. You deserve it, man. You're hardworking. I do have to be out by 2 p.m. So unfortunately, I got a call. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4 callers to get to. So we're gonna have to be like 5 to 6 minutes a person. Grid, you ready? I know you're streaming. Can you hear me, Grid? Grid. Did you freeze up?
I'm in alignment with my governor here. I think that he's doing the right thing. I think that he sending troops to Memphis is great. The next
Okay. Grid's talking to his audience. Not quite ready. We'll go with level 4 Lobster. Keep getting the super chats in. Lobster, how you doing today?
Good, Rob. How are you doing, bud?
I'm doing great. You working?
Always. Hey, I do apologize. It's storming out where I'm at. So if I come across crappy, I'll take full responsibility. I just wanted to lighten the mood a little bit,
okay.
Rob. I think a lot of people have a lot of recency bias of events that occur in their life.
Mm-hmm.
And I started to think of the violence that you portrayed upon us. And in your absence this last 2 weeks, I had the opportunity to go back to a couple videos that you've done in the past. Banger videos, by the way. Once again, Black Elk doing a great job. This is a 2-month-old video I was watching, and everyone remembers the hot dog, the wiener shirt fiasco that you put us through, and how everyone was up in arms. I went back and watched the what was it? Counter thrifty debate. And the wardrobe choice that you chose to rock on the counter thrifty debate. Painful, and I hope that you give everyone the opportunity to pull that up now because it's glorious, Rob. And I would like to know the Mountain Dew to get it.
So here's the story, right? What video was it? It was it's the best of video. I had told people what that is a Snuggie, and I told people I said, listen. Should I wear this Snuggie to debate this fuck tomorrow? And everyone said, yeah. So that's why I put it on. But yeah, it's a look. All right, let's see. Let's see here.
And I just think the best look would get if EOD could get like a video with the black glasses coming down over your face with the cigar out your mouth. With that picture, I think that would be wonderful.
That's what you're referring to there, my excellence. I mean, in fairness, look at what my opponent's wearing.
Hey, you know what? The other comment I wanted to say, Rob, obviously we're still fat guys with beards. We're not the skinniest of guys. We're not the himbos. But ever since you've went full time, I really see the stress lift off your face.
Thank you.
You are looking great, and I'm so glad for you and your family that you've had the opportunity to go full time, and I hope everyone contributes and keeps you going. I'm going to get out of the way. Great job as always, Rob. Keep up the good work.
Thanks, Lobster. Always appreciate, man. Have a great day. Yeah, here's the Snuggie, and also you can see the way my opponent has his camera set up. It's double Snuggie. It is comfy. If I find that bastard, I'll put it back on in the winter months. Y'all can kiss my ass. See? Same Snuggie. I think it's maybe an off-brand Snuggie, you know. All right, we're close to our goal. We can do it. We can get to the goal. $714. We got more callers to come on. We'll try Grid again here. Close to our goal. So keep getting those super chats in. I appreciate you all. I really do. It's great to hear from Lobster. The debate is going on tonight. That's going to be at 9:15 Eastern. Balderson and Slow News saying George Floyd's worse for society than Destiny. And me and Marte saying no. Okay. So, anyways, Grid, are you ready to go? If I bring you in. Still talk. Grid, you ready? Okay. What's up, Grid?
I got to unmute Rob over here. All right, Rob. Why can't I hear you? Why can't I hear Rob?
Oh, because I wasn't talking. That's probably why.
Oh man, that was good troll, buddy.
Yeah. How's it going today, man?
Man, it's good. It's good. I've I had a great day yesterday. Missed you last week, man. I was getting worried. I was like, man, where's Rob?
Well, you'll find out soon. I was somewhere.
Yeah.
But
all right.
But
hey,
yeah.
Are we still on? Is it this Thursday that we're on with Modern Day Debate?
You told me October 28th.
Was it the 28th?
Yeah. But then James messaged me and said, would you be interested in debating any of these topics? And he gave the exact topic that you gave. So I was like, Grit told me that I'm debating with him on October 28th. He hasn't come back to me. But
yeah, I get that. I get that a lot. So
but yeah, I mean, I'll be honest, I was sort of
preoccupied.
MIA this weekend. Yeah, I wasn't checking my notes and my messages.
You're all right.
So
I was wondering what happened, man. I was like, what happened?
Yeah, no, it's just doing Crucible stuff. So I think that it'll probably be coming public soon, what we were involved with. But just a project. So I think it'll be a cool project, but maybe not. You know how that stuff works too. Sometimes you work on stuff behind the scenes and then it never comes out. So you don't want to say, hey everybody, I'm flying to Dubai to debate Mehdi Hasan, and get everyone all pumped up until it's finalized, right? So you got to wait until shit's finalized before you say anything. But that's where I was. So I was gone from Wednesday, and then I got back Saturday evening. Left Wednesday morning, got back Saturday evening, and then Sundays. I tried to put my phone down on Sundays and not do much. I was gonna stream last night, but then I was watching a show with my son, and I was just like, nope, I'm gonna hang out with the family because I hadn't seen them all week. So
I understand. I do the same. On Sundays is kind of like it's kind of my off day, and now my wife has claimed it as her day. So,
that's fair.
I mean,
it's good, man. It's very good to just not focus on work, and particularly in like what we do here. Like politics could be rough, man. It could be fucking. It could be depressing, and so it's nice to just have a day where it's like, hey, you know what? I'm hanging out with my family. I'm going to church. I'm just doing what I want to do, and it's. I think it's good for the mental health. So.
Yeah, absolutely. What? So, Rob, we've been like, I hadn't talked in a while, man, and I like had some stuff I want to talk to you about, but now I'm drawing a blank. But
what'd you think of it?
Did you watch I mean, I'm sure you haven't because you were out of town, but so your buddy Counterpoints had a debate on Sarah's the other night where he absolutely refused to address the prompt. He talked all around the prompt, but he never actually addressed the prompt. The topic was females in the military. Should females be in the military?
Okay.
And his justification for females being in the military is men can't not have sex for 7 or 8 months of deployment, and so they would turn gay without women in the ranks.
That was his argument. Why women should
That was a good part of his big part of his argument.
Then why not just have concubines?
Well, I pointed out that they've never needed women in the military before. There's a reality to the girl in every port saying, right? Like that's what happens. And it was the dumbest argument I've ever seen. They never addressed the actual prompt at all. Him nor Fugazi, and Fugazi spent half the debate calling Connor gay, or asking him if he was gay. Are you gay? Because you're talking about a lot of gay stuff, And it was terrible actually. And I didn't know if you had seen it. And Connor's been talking a lot of shit about me because I was talking a lot of shit from the chat.
No, I haven't seen it. I missed that. If I would have hopped on, Connor would have told me I was going to beat my ass again or whatever when he sees me in public. So,
yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I think that there's a place for women in the military, to be honest. I just don't think it's combat roles.
Right. I think everybody can agree with that, right? Like,
I don't mind.
Yeah.
Right. I don't know what to say. I think it's Connor's debate style at this point, which lamentably has gotten much worse, where he'll just throw up his hands and say, I don't give a shit. I don't have to listen to my opponent. I'll just interrupt because I know I'm right and you're wrong. And so I'm not surprised. Now, I can't confirm that this happened, but just based on I'm not surprised that he'd be like, I'm not really interested in debating the topic.
So I use that example to kind of springboard here. Do you think that it's becoming a larger debate style to just not address the prompt and just try and derail the entire conversation into some stupid ass shit? It seems like a lot of the debates I've watched lately, that's what ends up happening. It's like they're not actually debating the subject matter or the prompt. They pick like one avenue, and usually it's not related. It's like at best tenuously related, and they just sit there and bullshit for like 20 or 30 minutes. And the moderator's like, even if the moderator tries to steer them back, they last 2 minutes and then they veer right back off. Do you think it's a style so that people don't have to take the L or their or to make their opponent so flabbergasted that this has nothing to do with what the fuck we're talking about? Do you think it's a tactic?
Yeah, it's certainly a tactic. Like, put yourself in the other shoes, right? Like, so I've been guilty of this myself to some extent. So it used to be that the only game in town was these left-wing panelists, right? Everybody that was moderating a debate was a left-winger. You had Prime Gaze, you had Dylan Burns, right? You had all these people that were doing it. And so then I remember I talk about this week all the time. I did like 3 panels, right? And each of the panels, one of the topics was, what do you think about Ted Cruz going to Cancun while there was a blizzard in his district? Okay? Now, I didn't like it. And I was honest. And I talked about it, right? But what more is there to say? And then I would be like, well, since we're on this, right, what do you think about left-wing politicians and governors telling us we have to stay at home while they go out and do shit, right? Because Ted Cruz leaving, he didn't tell you had to stay in his district. He would say, if you got a ticket to Cancun, have at her. Him leaving, while not a good thing, is not as bad as him leaving and saying, but you're not allowed. And that's what these Democrats were doing. So can we talk about this? No, that's not the topic. That's whataboutism. You have to talk about this specific topic. So I understand the frustration of finding yourself in a position where you're being forced to argue something because there's no other game in town that you don't think is that important. And I know you've been in this as well. Like, there's been times, one panel I did on Rittenhouse, I remember the topic before, I can't even fucking remember the guy's name. This is how little cultural, like, entertainment there was a rapper that apparently someone got stampeded to death at his concert, and that was one of the topics, and I'm just like, and then the next topic, I think on that same debate was, what do you think about people scalping PS5s? And I'm just like, but I didn't derail it. I was just like, I don't have anything to say. Like, I have like a general, like 3-minute, like, here's my thoughts, but I don't, right? So like, but there are certainly a lot of people now, I think that they see themselves losing sort of the control of that because now there are other games in town, like Sarah and you have a show. And it's like, look, we try to actively come up with topics that we think would be useful for both sides, right? So it's not like on Grid's debate show that it's like every topic's going to be like geared towards, well, fuck the left. There's almost no, it's like, no, we'll come up with topics. 2 people will come to you with the topic. You'll say, sure, you guys can debate that topic, no problem. And there does seem to be a lot of like disengagement with what the actual topic's supposed to be. And I definitely can see how it's what they would think would be a useful tactic. For me, I have not taken debates for this very reason, right? I'll debate Destiny on why he's a sack of shit for calling out deaths and stuff. But if someone's like, hey, Rob, will you debate Destiny on tariffs? I'd be like, no, not at this point. Or I could say, sure, and then just go in and say, fuck tariffs. We're going to talk about how you're a piece of shit. But that wouldn't really be fair to the moderator and to the audience that's there to see. So I'd just say, no, I'm not going to take that debate. And that's weird you bring this up because tonight I'm going to have a debate and I think the topics.
Oh, you're debating Connor tonight?
No. Tonight I'm debating on Sarah's channel, and it is the exact wording of the topic is George Floyd worse for society than Destiny? And it's like, okay. So I'm going to stay within the framework of that. We're going to talk about George Floyd and Destiny, but as far as the specific, it is what it is.
I mean, they're both meth addicts. So I don't know. Hey, so another thing, I was on I was a judge on a lefty panel on Saturday night, and it's run by a guy called the Horseradish.
Haven't
and
heard of them.
it's a weird debate. I mean, it's an interesting debate style, but it's a weird debate because they're all leftist and they're trying to argue left versus right as leftist, and like it's the biggest like echo chamber I've been in.
I was in this Discord invasion I did there the other day, and ended up on this like Discord channel. There's only like 6 people on it, but they were all communists, and they were like, just to show you the echo chamber that was. They were thoroughly convinced that CNN and the New York Times are right wing, and you're like, oh, because they're like super lefties and they consider everyone to the right of them right wing. No, not just right wing, pro Trump. The New York Times, CNN, and it's like, I don't know how to reach you if you're that far gone that you're like, when I'm watching Jake Tapper, I'm like, this damn Trump supporter, like, the writers at the New York Times. It's like, we are in 2 completely different realities at this point. I don't know what possible conversation we can have because, you're in such an echo chamber. And I think that I see that a lot, right? Mm-hmm. And it I see you potentially criminal. We'll read that after. But, I see that a lot where it's like, for me, one of the salient moments Scott Adams talks about, we're watching 2 movies, right? Like we're both sitting here, we're watching the same movie, but we think we're watching 2 different movies. I have this friend in real life, it's not a stupid person, way back with the Mike Flynn stuff when they first released the 302s of Flynn, right? And you can see what Flynn allegedly said. Now, the 302, there's problems with anyways, but even that, it's like Flynn did nothing, right? Yeah. And I read it, and my buddy happened to call me about something else, and he's like, he's left wing. He's like, did you see that 302? I said, yeah. He said, what'd you think? And I was like, I know, it's fucking crazy, right? This is why they ruined this guy's life. And he's like, what are you talking about? He committed treason. He should be executed. And I was like, wait, what? And he's like, yeah. And I like pulled up. I'm like, this. And I'm reading it. He's like, yes, that's treason. And I'm like, what? This is like the most benign. And we're both looking at the exact same fucking document. And he's like, this is the biggest crime that you could commit in this country. And I'm like, this is literally not a crime and would be less important than a speeding ticket. And it's like, I don't know how you bridge that gap when things are that crazy, when there's that much of a divide that you're starting with. Yeah, the potentially criminals like those 302s were edited as fuck. Well, the entire idea, I say this all the time, I can't fucking believe it, that I'm some bumbling redneck and I have this where I could record shit wherever I want. And yet our FBI can't video or audio record interviews they do. Instead, we have to rely on their handwritten notes, which, oopsie, if they make a mistake or, God forbid, they want to be corrupt, we just have to take their word for it, So.
Well, it's interesting. The police are actually really, initially the police were really annoyed with body cams for the reason that they were so used to just being able to pencil whip their reports any which way they wanted to go. And now, like, it's glaring when they write in the report that, subject was aggressive and their body camera shows a guy like leaning against his car smoking a cigarette.
Right. No. Now it's funny. Body cams had the opposite effect. A lot of people thought that it was going to show that a lot of interracial interactions with the police were garbage. And it turned out you see a lot of people that claimed I didn't do anything wrong were actually, but yeah, you're certainly right. And it's the same is true. Like even in my little line of work that I did before this in home healthcare, they would put certain houses, they would put cameras in because there was, incidents that would occur in the house a lot. So they put cameras in, and what you'd start to see is a lot of the reports that were being filed for years and years, all of a sudden it doesn't match up with what you're seeing on the video footage. It's like, wait a minute, you said that this person was being really aggressive, but it looks like what happened was you were on your phone in the staff office for fucking 2 hours while that person kept asking you for lunch, and then they got mad and they threw something because, it's an adult with autism, Sure. And it's like, yeah, you still shouldn't throw things, but that's a far cry from, I was just sitting there asking what was going on. You know what I mean? How these reports are normally wrote up. But yeah, Grid, I'll give you the last word. I got 2 more callers to get to and only about 15
sure. So you probably don't know this. In Nashville, we just had our governor agree with our state attorney that he can send the National Guard into Memphis. Obviously, the Democrats in Memphis are crying about that a lot today. And so I'm in total agreement. I think that we need to clean up these crime-ridden towns, and in Memphis, it's about an 8 or 10 block area of Memphis that's really, really bad. And I really don't understand why the Democrat politicians and officials seem to want to block this at every turn. It's like you would think that an elected official would want to protect their constituency and their community, but it's the exact opposite. And I mean, obviously, I think I can make guesses as to what's wrong, but or why they want to do that. But it's very interesting to watch it in real time on color TV, on video that we can play over and over again, where Democrats are literally saying, "Don't send these people to help my town," because
I have my reasons. It would take me an entire show to talk about, but anarcho-tyranny, baby. That's what's going on. So
yeah.
But no, yeah, we'll be seeing each other soon. I think we're doing a debate together.
Yeah, we're doing a debate together.
More...
And then I'm trying to find you a worthy opponent for my event. I'm trying to get some left. The leftists are a little. I don't know. It just seems like they don't want to debate IRL. They just are all like, "Oh yeah, I'm down the debate, but not in."
Of course. So great. I always appreciate it, man.
Yeah, man.
You have a good one. We'll talk soon.
Yeah, absolutely. Talk to you later.
Super chats. First on Rumble. Mangozi, $5 says, that was hilarious, Chair. Shh, he's coming back. Damn, Chair. And Flavius, $10 says, good show, Rob. Thank you. Thank you. And Flavius again, another 10 says, for the grift, not one step back. Thank you so much. Over here on YouTube, Yama, $5 says, what up, Rob? Just stopping by to say I'm happy to see that Alex Pereira KO'd Chechen fighter Magomed Ankalaev and UFC 320. Make MMA great again. It was, now listen, I know Alex Ankalaev, I just know from being the champion, but I didn't watch much of his fights. Alex I've seen before. It was a beatdown, man. Like Pereira, it was a fucking beatdown. It's as humiliating as a loss that you'll see a champion have. It's got to be probably at least the most humiliating of the year for a champion that will lose. Meat Pill, $10 says, hey, Rob, we spoke last week about fascism. Since then, I put together a doc explaining what it is, definitions, using the doctrine, and why we aren't that. Would you be interested in looking? Of course I would be. And I hope that your debate went well. Message it to me on X, at my X account at robnoerr, or you can send it through Discord, and I'll check it out. Our friend, potentially criminal Sean, $2 says, asking about tariffs and on nudes from minors. You know, pasta coming in for people that are working in coal mines. I don't get it. I don't know what's going on. Joseph Romano, $2. Thank you so much. Now, we're only about $200 away, 200 to change, 270, 80, something like that from our goal. We could do it. Someone will send in $200, then we'll be real close. That's how it works. All right. Rockman goes next, then we'll finish off with AJ Noakes. Only got like 15 minutes. Rock, what's happening, man? Can you hear me, sir? I feel bad. I know.
How about now?
Oh, yeah, there you are. What's happening?
Okay. I had it on mute, man. So, yeah. So, I'm going to be venting a little bit, and I'm a lefty. I'm a classical liberal, and one thing that's driving me up the fucking wall nowadays is whenever you got, one conservative going out and doing, like, let's say trying to shoot somebody, the crazy lefties are trying to make a monolithic argument that, oh, you see that right there? It's the same as what you're claiming what the left is doing, what we're doing. And it's absolutely ridiculous. How many years has the left went after the right with Trump, the supporters, MAGA, and trying to throw ad hominems, what they did during the 2020 year with the pandemic and the presidential campaign, the mass censoring. It's everything that they're doing. They're accusing you guys of, you people on the right, and it's driving me absolutely insane. You know how bad that really looks for not only on the left but also with America. It's obvious that they drive a divide, celebrating political assassinations with 2 political attempts on Donald Trump, and all they have to say is that, well, that's not true. I don't understand these people. I really don't, Rob. It's not looking good, man. These guys ain't going to quit. Well, they're not going to stop.
And from the perspective of you, right? If someone who's like more of a centrist lefty or something, it really sucks because it's like, where do you go? right? And there's a lot of people that have came to the right that aren't naturally on the right because they see how extreme the lefts became. And I think you make a salient point there. Like, look, and I was trying to say this to Dusty earlier. It's certainly true that any politician or any political movement can have lunatics, and you don't blame the whole movement for the actions of some. But what's different here is we see that it's ubiquitous throughout like huge portions of the Democratic Party and the left, which is like it wasn't just a small fraction that cheered for Luigi Mangione killing the United Healthcare CEO. There was a lot of people. There was a lot that cheered during the assassination attempt of Trump. And, you know, polling suggests from YouGov, this isn't like Breitbart poll or something, 55% of Democrats say that they could at least somewhat justify the murder of Trump. You know, and you see all the people that are out there cheering on Charlie Kirk's death, and all the people that still, you know, they didn't hesitate. As soon as it happened, they're like, yeah, you're still fascist. And they still went with this rhetoric. And the problem is not the fringe people, though the fringe are getting more and more emboldened to commit more and more violent acts. The problem is how mainstreamed it's became in the Democratic Party. And in the Republican Party, when you have someone that's supposedly doing something in the name of right-wing violence, they're almost universally condemned. It's like, it's fucking gross. The only example they could give is Paul Pelosi, which I agree with them, actually, that there were a lot of people that made fun of Paul Pelosi, and I thought it was fucking garbage. I really did, because I understand why it happened. I understand that this was being used by the left to, like, see political violence from the right, and it was clear that it wasn't political violence. It looked like, and I still heavily suspect that there was more than meets the eye that was going on there, but it didn't matter. A man got beaten with a hammer. Like, that's fucking crazy.
And survived.
And he did. And he did survive. Now, it's not as bad as like the assassination attempt against Trump for various reasons, or Charlie Kirk being murdered, etc. So the people like Destiny that want to be like, well, someone made fun of Paul Pelosi, and so therefore we can make fun of, you know, etc., etc. I don't think that it's an apples to apples, but I do think there's a point to be made there. But other than that one example, it's like these acts of violence, particularly if someone died, are universally condemned on the right, with the exception of maybe some fringe lunatics that have no sort of institutional power. And on the left, it's just par for the course. The truth is, I will not be convinced that this isn't the case until I see like a great amount of evidence to suggest to the contrary. The truth is, I think the majority of Democrats, the majority, like over 50%, are like, well, we're kind of happy that ICE agents are being attacked. Well, we're kind of happy that, you know, there's people threatening to use violence against Trump. We wouldn't do it. And we don't ultimately want Trump killed or want ICE agents killed, but we do hope that they're intimidated into changing their evil positions. Well, I think that's the majority of the Democratic Party at this point.
Well, that's exactly what happened in Venezuela before they became a dumpster fire, because radical leftists used political violence and amplified it with political pressure for it to swing. And now look at Venezuela. Now we're actually, you know, having some sort of discrepancy. There's 2 points I do want to make about what your comments were. Number one, when you're saying that more people coming on from the left to the right, here's the thing I want to, you know, people don't like it. I'm on Speakeasy's channel a lot, and I've been vocalizing a lot more because this is an alert now, because we live in a post Charlie Kirk era, and God bless Charlie Kirk. I feel bad. I cried when it happened. I mean, you had somebody that says that, you know, through Christ, the love with the grace of God, that I am able to be here right now to help other people, you know, and that's exactly what his objective was, and he got shot for it. Now, even more people are leaving the left because they're just tired of this radical rhetoric BS. And what's going to happen is that the more people are going to leave the left, and the smaller that number on the left is, you're going to see more of an uptick. You think radical behavior right now, it's going to get worse and worse.
Yep.
These guys ain't going to stop. And exactly what happened in Germany when Germany was losing the war. They had, you know, all hands on deck, all out war. They're just, and the point I'm trying to make is that what Germany did at the end last months of this war, that they ensued much chaos as they possibly can, with destruction and death. And that's what the leftist direction, that's the direction they're heading to. And I'm a history guy. I'm a big history guy. And I see a lot of correlation before the Civil War. And what I mean is, this may not be appealing to people, but hear me out. You know, before the Civil War happened, when, you know, the attack of Fort Sumter happened in South Carolina, the Confederate states were attacking, they're seizing federal property, attacking federal troops, attacking armory, seizing property of forts all over the South before that happened. So it just seems that through the metrics of history that the patterns are reshaping. It seems that they're just setting up for rebellion, and you see this in big cities like New York, LA, San Francisco, Portland, Seattle. You see these people out there protesting over a false alarm. Trump would have went away had, my opinion is, Rob, that I think Trump would have withered away had not the left attacked him in the last 4 years when Biden was president with the lawfare, and because that they wouldn't leave him alone, it just basically emboldened people to call for Trump to be president to save them from this mess that they're doing in the first place.
I totally agree. I do have to let you go, but just to buttress that point, they scheduled that lawfare right around the primaries because the Democrats were like, oh boy, we want it to be Trump because we'll beat him, just like they won it in 2016, and both times they lost. But you're absolutely right. If you remember, if you go back, there was a push for people like this. Now, Trump may have still won the primary, but certainly there were inroads being made by people like DeSantis, and then as soon as Trump was indicted, that was it. The primary was over. Because every Republican was like, nah, fuck that.
And then the assassination attempt in Butler, Pennsylvania, where people are like, you know what, F this, he's our guy, we're going to go with him because he still stands up and moving forward. I wish I had more time to talk, but thank you for giving me the time to talk. Thank you.
Tomorrow around noon, I'll be streaming, so call in. All right, thanks, man. Rock Mangoes, really appreciate it, man. All right, listen, we're like $200 away from our goal. Someone send in $200. You can do it. And then if you do it at the same time that someone else sent in $200, well, then we're in business. Now, you guys have been incredibly generous today. I'm so happy to be back. Lastly, AJ Noakes, always great to hear from you, AJ. How you doing today, man?
We need to discuss about profit sharing on this stream. No, I'm kidding.
We're capitalists, baby. Until if we lose money, then we'll talk about sharing.
Unrelenting capitalist. Reading for today, going with the theme of hope. Luke 18:27. Jesus replied, what is impossible with man is possible with God. So everything can seem really hopeless really quickly, especially when you're dealing with conflicts. And the one thing that we always had in the military was something called METC. And METC dependent means it's just situational dependency. You don't know. And the minute you step off whatever aircraft is taking you to whatever target you're going to, everything's going to go wrong. Nothing's going to go the way that you think it is. And that's where the real test comes in. That's something that we would always, the attitude always had to be good. I like this. Good. Yes. Because it's the opportunity to expose them, and it's the opportunity for you to prove who you really are in that situation. Everybody likes to have those images until they actually.
Dusty that called in earlier wasn't such a sack of shit. I actually don't mind that these people are out there being vocal. It is good that we know exactly what they think of us. And that's one silver lining that you could take. Good. Look, do I wish that I had a world where people that had political disagreements with me didn't want to cheer for my death? Of course. But if we don't have that world and they are going to cheer, I'd rather they be open.
I like going into the psyche of the evil of the past. And one of the things that I found really fascinating when I was very younger, when I was like 14, I did a paper on this in English class. And my great grandfather, he helped liberate the camps from all the bad people over there in Europe in that one, few years.
That guy, that painter.
Yeah, that dude from Austria, asshole. Anyway, and they said, some of the survivors said when they asked him, like, why didn't you step out of line when you were standing in front of these big buildings? And literally the people that were standing there said, we really couldn't imagine what was about to happen. It was beyond even our capability of fathoming what was about to happen. That's where I think most people are right now. They're in the optimism bias. They're looking at something and they're seeing it and they're going, it's just not possible. I can't believe this is. And again, going back to what, most of the time in the backroom conversations or other places where I'm on here in the chat, and people are always looking into things that Tim Pool said, including myself, from when he was on Joe Rogan, which is where I was really celebrating him back then, because he was able to predict a whole lot of stuff. And even as Chris Farley jokingly said on SNL, you're going to be living in the van down by the river. And Tim Pool's like, yeah, literally, that's what I'm going to do. And I was just like, yeah, because when you're actually able to see it, or as, going back to biblical teachings, those who have eyes to see will see. those who have ears to hear will hear. And I think that's reflective not only of God's word and God's world and creation, but it's also dependent upon us. We have our free will. We can look at things however we choose. And even when it's something that's beyond our fathom, it's impossible that this is about to happen to me. And the reality is there's real evil in this world. Truly.
It's so sobering. And I think it's one of the things with the Charlie, like, you couldn't have convinced me, even me who looks into this stuff and sees radical lefties, that the reaction to a murder like Charlie Kirk would have been what it was. Like, if you were like, not only are there going to be tens of thousands of people taking to social media celebrating this, but you're going to see like institutions like the New York Times that are instantly going to go into smear mode. Like, this guy was sort of a piece of shit. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. He had it coming. I would have 4 years ago, even then, even at the height of like just coming out of the pandemic, I'd have said, no, it's not going to get that bad. And here we are. And it makes you wonder, where will we be 2 years from now? We still have 3 years of Trump left. And I mean, it ain't going to stop as far as, unless there is serious cultural or political consequences, it won't stop. It's going to escalate.
And I'm going to throw this in at the end. Where would we be if Hillary would have won in 2016? Where would we be right now if Kamala would have won? What if they rigged it so well and so foolproof that we were lit, and we wouldn't even have any of this to really perceive it? We wouldn't have any direct conflict like we do now. So a part of me really does say, yeah, it's horrible, it's awful, it's evil to witness. But a lot of it too is, thank God we're seeing it. Because if you're not seeing it, and you had even worse humans win elections for the last 8 years, going on 12, we would have been even worse off, and we would have had no voice. There would have been an Elon Musk buying
Look,
Twitter.
if you're a Christian too, I'm by no means am I someone who I'm trying to be a better Christian, and I haven't studied a lot or anything like that. But you know what the final answer is. You know where you end up, and so shouldn't your role here be like, it's a challenge, right? It is a challenge that we wish we didn't have to face, but that's the calling, right? You can't just shrivel up and be black-pilled. You say, for me, part of it's like, I want to leave a better place for my son. And what would happen if I don't speak up now? It'll be twice as hard for my son to speak up 20 years from now as it will be for me. So I feel obligated as someone whose fundamental role is protecting my family to speak up and to try. Now, I'm not saying that I'm going to do, well, if that's how you feel, Rob, then why aren't you in the front lines? Why don't you do this, that? I'm not saying that, but we all need to be doing stuff, because it's going to get worse and worse if we don't deal with it now to the best of our ability. It doesn't mean using violence. It means like understanding sort of the way that you need to go forward to make cultural and political change. And that might mean taking certain people out of your life. I'll give you the last word. I was supposed to be done it too.
That hits exactly on the last tone I was going to hit on, is be careful who your heroes are, your personal heroes, and who you model yourself after in this world, and make sure that they have value and real, be bold and mighty forces will come to your aid, and don't choose the man whose mural gets struck by lightning and only that part of the mural falls to the floor, because you're probably on the wrong side.
We'll probably talk about that tonight. So, all right. Hey, always appreciate it, AJ. I'll be calling tomorrow if you like. Always appreciate it, though, man. Thanks so much.
Yeah.
Great caller. All right. Now, listen, we've come to the end of the show. We've fallen short of our goal of $714. $50 will get us to a nice even $500, though. So can I implore anyone to donate $50? Is it possible? What's up, Carney? It's been a good show. I'm sorry I wasn't around for several days. Hopefully soon, projects I've been working on behind the scene will become evident, and you guys will go, it's not just that Rob's a lazy piece of shit. He was actually doing stuff. So, but, it was a good show. I enjoyed it. Tonight, I'll start streaming probably around 9 p.m. Eastern time. We got a debate coming up, me and Marte versus two other guys on who's worse, George Floyd or Destiny. There you go. Jimmy Bean bought a Powerball ticket. If he wins, he'll send me $50. Bam! Bam! That's what we're talking about. Can I get that same agreement? Anyone here, if you win over $100 million on something, send $50 to me. That sounds fair. So, all right. You guys are the best. Thanks to all of my mods that were here today. You guys are amazing. Thank you to Spiro. Thank you to Black Elk. Black Elk's doing tremendous job behind the scenes with all the editing and stuff. So I appreciate all of that. Thank you to everyone that called in. Thank you to everyone that donated, everyone who liked and subbed, and thank you to everyone who chatted or didn't and watched the show. I really appreciate it. We're going to raid over to Jim Bob. I should be back around 9 p.m. tonight. As always, everyone, have a good one. God bless Charlie Kirk and his family.
Only in America is it possible to say, you know what, I don't like the way the country is going, and to do something about it. Take that risk. Take that leap of faith. Stay involved. Trust God and act obediently. Romans 12:2 verse. That God will use all things for good for those who love him. It's bigger than you. I want you to remember that. It is bigger than you. It's bigger than me. You are here to make somebody else's life better, the pursuit of liberty and freedom. You know what gives me strength? The hundreds of thousands of you that say, Charlie, keep going.
1 Corinthians 5 and 15. So that's all pretty amazing evidence, not just intra-biblical evidence, but extra-biblical evidence that Jesus Christ was a real person. He lived a perfect life. He was crucified, died, and rose on the third day, and he is Lord and God of all.